Hello and welcome to tonight's show.
Hello, welcome to episode 171 of On the Bench, the podcast for scale modelers by scale modelers, all about scale models. And this show is being brought to you by our two latest Patreon supporters, Malcolm Redmaker and Charles Rice. You two can help support the show just like these two fine gentlemen. Simply go to www.patreon.com/onthebench and pledge any amounts as little as $1 per month. Your contributions are greatly appreciated by us and they help us with our production costs and hosting costs as well. Each one of our OTB Patreon supporters gets a cool OTB sticker as well. Before we get on with the show, let's have a quick word from one of our sponsors, SMS Paints.
Hi, I'm Scott, the creator and owner of the Scale Modeler Supply, Australia's largest manufacturer of hobby paints. Our premium airbrush-ready acrylic lacquer paints are designed specifically for use on plastics, with a comprehensive range covering all popular modelling subjects including military, aircraft, rail, auto, sci-fi and more. And not only that, but we also have a wide selection of essential hobby tools and now, infinite colour, our new range of water-based paints for miniatures. So to check out our range and to find your closest retailer, please visit our website at scalemodeler.com.au. So when quality matters, choose SMS Paints.
And hello and welcome to the show. And in the studio I've got Ian.
G'day Dave, g'day Julian, g'day listeners.
And Julian, of course.
Good morning.
How are we, gentlemen?
Very good, thank you.
What's been happening? Right, nothing.
No, I've been working on the, nearly got the cockpit finished on the Edward Spitfire Mark 1 early. It's come along. It's a very tedious little thing. It's my first Edward Spitfire, so I've got another 413 to build after this one.
Well, that doesn't that sort of go hand in hand with detail?
Yeah, but it's a nice kit, and I'm pretty sure it's got the.
Well, you would hope so after you've bought so many of them.
Yeah, but because I'm pretty sure the decals are those ones that you can peel the carrier film off.
Oh, right.
The reason I believe that is because when I was doing the placards in the cockpit, because I've learnt with Edward decals, Edward decals are very finicky. Basically, I've learnt do not leave them in the water because then they will just curl up and you won't be able to use them. So what I do is I just put them in the water for about 2 or 3 seconds, take them out, and then just leave it for about 30 seconds, and that allows the moisture to do its job. But while I was doing that, the top carrier film just floated off.
Just floated off.
Just floated away. It was like, oh, okay. But the decals work perfect.
So that's because isn't Edward supposed to have those?
Nowadays, well, I don't think it's a deliberate thing.
It's not. It's something that people figured out, and
okay.
And Edward has said as much.
Yeah,
but people have sort of
hacked it.
Well, different people are hacking it in different ways and getting what seems to be inconsistent results, and it's all working well until it doesn't, and then suddenly there's
a lot of tears.
There's a missing decal on the model, kind of a thing.
Yeah. But no, it's come along quite well. I'm hoping by the end of the weekend I'll have the fuselage halves together. Wings are pretty much all done, so they're ready to be glued onto the fuselage while that's done. So hoping by next week I'm up to painting stage.
Cool bananas. Julian?
Spending money.
Oh, what you been purchasing?
Well, I mean, lots of little things here and there. Like I went over to the Spot Model website.
Right. Yep, Spot Models, cars, yep.
All car models, they run out of Spain, I believe.
Yeah, I think so, do you?
And I was over there and, just looking, because they send, I bought something once, and you know how it is, you get like some promotional emails, and you're like, ooh, look at all these things that I could buy. And I ended up picking up a what you call it? Because I do like the Lancia cars that from that Hasegawa put out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all classic rally cars, right? That's what Lancia do.
What, like the Miuras?
No. That's Lamborghini.
Oh, that's right. That's Lamborghini.
Lancia do like
shows how much I know about European sports cars.
Lancia just do rally stuff. That's all. I mean, like they make they do these kits as street cars as well. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you know,
I've got a Lancia in my kit collection.
Do you?
Yeah, ZM1, I think it is.
I don't know what that is.
I'm proud to say I don't.
First World War armoured car.
Oh, that
Italian armoured car, which is a Lancia.
Yeah, so there's like the Stratos, the 037.
I've heard of the Stratos.
It's the little tiny short thing.
Yeah,
and there's the Delta Integrale or something like that, and then then they got one more, which was the 037 that I built last time.
Right.
Yeah, those are like a lot of them, and you won't find any other kits really. There's probably like one or two something out there somewhere. But those, I do like those kits, and they're pretty good kits because they're Hasegawa kits, you know. And someone had released like this beautiful 3D printed, because you like much like the 037 I built, you can see like all the engine in the back there, right? And similar sort of thing. You know, all those cars have a very similar setup. They're all like engine in the back, and the thing is like with the Stratos, it's more enclosed. There's less of a window that you can use to peer down into there. But the whole thing hinges back on the real car. And someone had done like a full 3D printed rear end for the kit. So you can have all the engine detail in there.
And you bought that?
Yeah, I did.
Good on you.
I also bought some spoke, like a 3D printed wire wheels for like a Jaguar... what's the one that E-Type?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you got an E-Type kit?
No, I don't. This is where I'm at now. I'm buying aftermarket for kits I don't have.
So who does the...
both of those are cases where I don't have the kit.
So who does the E-Type?
Revell, I believe.
All right. It'd be an old mould, I'd gather.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of people do it because it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to cars like that have the chrome window surrounds, you can usually tell how like old and how bad the kit is by how thick that is.
Yes.
You get to those old AMT kits and they get pretty thick.
Yeah, it's like a bit of 4x2, like a bit of 4x2 framing the window.
Well, I mean, like you look at the window framing and it's like the same width as the bumpers, you know.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's it's pretty shocking.
Phil, Sand, and Scribe.
Yeah. And then, you know, like I bought some other aftermarket pieces here and there. And it's like, oh, I may as well get some decals and things. And, it's $200. Okay, that's enough.
Now,
Press buy.
Do you get free postage after a certain amount? Or?
I think so, yeah, something like that. And then I bought a bunch of stuff from the Canberra Hobby Centre.
Oh, the paints.
Yeah. I've been just snooping around their site because it's very Gunpla oriented, and there's a lot of.
Because you showed Dave and myself the fluorescent line.
Yeah, there's like they got like.
But we were commenting about the bottles they use. They're like Mr. Softener bottles.
So
yeah, similar. Yeah.
So what it actually is, it's fluorescent panel liner.
Yeah, glow in the dark fluorescent panel liner.
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually panel liner.
Yes.
Oh, geez, you could do some interesting stuff.
I know.
Imagine
yeah, exactly. That's the point.
Especially like groundwork, like lava effects and stuff like that.
Yeah. But
you can make things look like Tron, you know?
Yeah.
Like running it all through all the panel lines and things.
But the issue is...
that'd be really cool once I get around to doing that cyberpunk car I've got.
But it'll only show up in the dark or if you put a black light on it, though, so...
Yeah, I know, but when you do it looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would,
So you'd have to put it... So if you used it, you'd have to do like a shadow box and have a black light coming down over the top of it to show it up.
Yeah, but it doesn't take much. So like you can just get one of those little black light
torches. In normal light, does it show up or does it just look like a colour?
It just looks like fluorescent colouring.
Right. So
but then when you put the black light on it or whatever,
that's when it shines.
Yeah, it really pops, you know.
Right, I get you now. Yep. Because I was just thinking that it'd be pretty cool if like it was in normal light, it was invisible, until you put a black light on.
Yeah.
Because then you can start doing some really cool paint schemes and then go, oh, that looks pretty cool. And then go, watch this, click with the light. Next thing, the whole thing just changes.
Yeah. So like over the last week, I've been talking a lot with Brian from Built Sideways podcast.
Yeah.
And it's all Gunpla talk, you know.
Yeah. So those guys from Sideways, they do Gunpla and also science fiction and stuff anyway. So
Well, they do a lot of everything.
yeah. So you're talking to Brian anyway.
Yeah, I'm talking to Brian, and it's all, talking about various Gunpla kits and what he thinks and what his ideas are about what constitutes a good model and what he likes to see. And because, it's kind of one of those things where, once you've been in one particular genre for some time, you acquire a certain level of taste.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I'm sort of trying to, like I was asking him what does he think about like all these resin conversion kits? Because you see resin, you start foaming at the mouth, and because they're expensive, right? They can be. I think the cheapest one's like $100, and then it goes up to like $200 around there. And I've never used one before, so I don't know how good it is to clean them up and all that sort of thing.
So you can start building Gunpla?
At some point.
Yeah.
I've got too many open projects at the moment. But I've been
We all
looking at
know
a
what
lot
that's
of
like.
and the problem is, like, since I started looking at things on Instagram, there's a lot of really cool models on Instagram, as you would expect. As robots, and it's the younger generation of modelers, and it's social media, which is what young people are.
So they communicate.
Younger people are into. It's not like the aircraft models, how they all sit on hyperscale and
the old forums and stuff.
all the old forums and things, those sort of things. It's like, well, why should we pay for hosting when someone else will?
Makes sense.
And you can, and like the photography of Gunpla kits is way up there, and they can do a lot more with it. It's not like us where it's like, okay, white or black background, make it as clean as possible kind of looking, and try to display as much of that tonal variance on a F14. Over there, it's all like, throw in the coloured lighting. Make it look flashy,
Yep.
There's a bit of that going on in the figures space as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's another thing, right? If you've ever spent much time photographing your models, you'll know that, like, dealing with like the cannon barrel on a tank with the whole perspective issue, and
you got to stack the photo, don't you? Photo stacking.
That's an advanced technique, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I've never tried, but that's like when you take a picture of a ship, especially from sort of front on.
Mm-hmm.
Like the bow will be in focus, but the rest won't. And there's people out there who are screaming at me, this is what you actually mean, Dave. But it's photo stacking. So you take photos of different parts of it and you stack it all up, so it's all in perspective.
Yeah, so it's all in focus.
That sounds really technical and difficult.
It does, doesn't it? It probably isn't.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you know what you're doing, it's not that much work, and the software is out there to support things and
they make it easier.
But when you're dealing with vertical subjects like figures and busts and Gunpla, a lot of these things they're not an issue anymore.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, because everything's just in the one plane, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you'll find like the 30-second scale aircraft type people are people who deal with like all these sort of the depth of field issues.
Yeah. That's what I struggle with.
So like you see, like they get very into like the photography aspect, and it's a whole thing.
It is.
Like you like Doogs and like Franchero models. Who else is in that sort of high-end category where they're making really stunning models, and then they've got like the photography skills to match?
I presume our good friend Will Patterson would be.
He'd be out
he's
there
an
as
ace
well.
photographer and builder.
Yeah, well, he's an amazing photographer. Straight up, that's, I think, his job for the most part these days, or at least a big part of his skills.
So
his many skills.
Yes.
you've been rambling on about all this sort of stuff, but tell us the important part. What's happening with the Mystery Cup?
I haven't started that.
Oh,
You haven't started it
I
yet.
can afford not to. It's not due for a long time.
oh, wow.
Yeah, look, I spoke to Chris Meddings as well, and he's of the opinion you don't want to be that guy who's like rushing in at the last minute.
Well, unlike John Benani, who rushed in at the last minute and won.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that, but I'll give it a go.
So, have you got any thoughts as to what you're going to do? Have you sort of reached a decision, or are you still?
We've got the Waverley Inter Club in a month's time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to get 2 car kits done before then. So that's foremost on my mind at the moment.
Yeah.
And I've got like that's right. I bought an after talking to Brian from Built Sideways podcast, because he's working on that Porsche turbo kit. I kept watching him build that thing, and I'm like, I'm going to buy that kit too. You know how these things go.
Yes, we all know how that goes.
Yeah. So I was cleaning that up the other day, and I've bought some paint for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I might do it in a metallic blue color.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, because I think it contrasts really well with that big long red across the bottom at the taillights.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know how they got that big long thing, that narrow bit that says Porsche behind it. Yeah, I reckon that's going to be a good look.
Yeah, that'll look quite nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Do a good job on that. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you go down that rabbit hole and you're like looking for things for Porsche, and you're like, at the same time, you're like, oh, there's another car thing, and then I'll buy that. And then, you're looking on the Gunpla website, oh, I'll buy that too, It gets away from you really fast.
Yeah.
And I've done that several times in my efforts to procrastinate with my various car kits.
Yeah. Yep.
This is a feeling that I get, right? So this is one of my big problems, is that you'll reach for some tasks that you've given to yourself. I'm going to overcome this technical challenge. And then you do one entire part of it, and then you're like, okay, now I need to do 2 or 4 or 6 more of this. And you just go, oh, I can't be bothered right now. Like I imagine you've come across this like multiple times, where you've built an entire like little anti-aircraft assembly out of photo etch, and you're going, oh, that took a lot out of me. I don't know if I can do a whole another 12.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I'm thinking that when was it the Yorktown's got like the 20mm olicons? I think it's got 70 of them.
And you already know that once you get past the third one, it just becomes automatic, right?
Yeah.
But I don't have that many to do. I've only got to do one more. And then, so what I did is I actually did the thing that I had been planning to do for quite some time, where I bought that nickel chrome wire.
Yep.
And I
for that when you were going to do the chrome surrounds around the grill.
Yes. So I actually did one of those, and it's not easy because you've got to get the dimensions correct, but you can't mark it out on the thing, right?
Yeah.
And so you've sort of got to go, okay, let me hold this up against the model while I've got the model propped up between my knees, right?
Yeah.
So I've got both hands free. I'll prop it up between my knees, and then I'll make my first bend, put it on the model. Okay, I'll see where I got to make the next bend. Pinch that area with my tweezers, double check, triple check, and then go to make the bend and go, oh, yep, I'm like, 0.5 millimeter, which is way too far away from where you need it to be.
Yep.
And then you got to like pinch it with tweezers and things like that to like move that bend to where it needs to be. Oh, it's a lot of.
It is.
And so there's 6 bends in this thing.
6.
There's 6. So even though it's a square, it's also got a bend because like the top third of it is vertical, and then the rest slants away.
Oh, right. Okay, I get what you mean.
So I do have to put like a shallow bend in part of it, and then when you glue it in there, it's like, it's a whole ordeal as well.
Would be.
Well,
man.
you will build cars. There you go.
That's it. What about you, Dave? What's on your bench?
I'm still battling with the Leo one. Those dreaded vinyl tracks. Oh my god, So, yeah, that's not far off finishing now, I don't think. Just got to weather it next.
Weathering, Dave.
Yeah, weathering. And what else have I got? Oh, I've got a couple of real space projects that are sort of sitting there in the background that I'm slowly sort of working on when I get bored with the Leo. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Not much else. I've been pretty busy with work, so I mean.
What are your real space things?
I've got a let me think now. It's a
you ditched that Mac 2 kit, didn't you?
ditched is a strong word. It's
You put it back in the box or something?
it's having a bit of a hiatus at the moment. So I sort of figure out. I've got to look around to see who actually has got any STL files on it, and I'll print it out. Yeah. So that's just sitting there waiting. Yeah.
Well, you were warned.
Yeah, I know.
You were warned.
I know.
Heavily.
And look, the centre section's fine. It's the strap-on rockets on the side that are causing me the headaches, and because they're just shocking. Yeah, I think that's about it really for me. I haven't had. I was hoping. Well, it's Father's Day this weekend here in Australia, so that's my Sunday written off.
Yep.
Today, obviously, we're doing this, and I've got to finish. I've got some yard work I need to attend to this afternoon.
Yes.
I'm going out tonight to some concert thing. I don't know. Michelle's dragging me out somewhere tonight, so I'm just playing chauffeur really tonight.
Oh, you just reminded me. It's my birthday tomorrow.
Oh,
Well, happy birthday for
happy
tomorrow,
birthday.
mate.
Yeah.
There you go.
I can't remember how old I am though. I think am I 39 or am I 40 now? I can't remember.
Well,
It's one of the two.
I'm 59, but my mind is writing checks that my body can't cash. I feel like a 30-year-old still mentally, but
Isn't that a common problem though?
yeah, I know it. Yeah. Anyway, let's have a quick break, and then we'll be back with some more goodness very shortly.
Hey guys, it's Chris at Inside the Armour Publications. I'd like to tell you about our summer sale. For the month of August, you can get 20% off any purchase. Just enter Summer 23 at checkout. The sale covers everything we sell, from Tetra PE sets and details to the incredible 148 Wingsy kits, aircraft kits. From your Master Hobby ship kits to all our books, including ebooks and the models from Ukraine books. So grab an outstanding book, kit or detail set with a full 20% off at www.insidethearmour.com. And don't forget that promo code SUMMER23.
And of course, we'd like to welcome to the show now our fantastic supporter, Scott Taylor from SMS Paints. G'day, mate. How are you?
Good, guys. How are you going?
Fantastic, brother.
Good. So, what's happening in your world, mate?
Lots. Lots. That's probably the easiest way to put it. A lot's been happening since we last spoke. Well, even in between we last spoke and last time I was on the show. So I think I spoke to you guys, or Dave and Julian, back at Expo, and I think last time I spoke with Ian was, Canberra, wasn't it, Ian?
Yeah, that's right, yep.
Yeah, so between then and then the show, I think last time I was on the show was December?
Yeah, about
2022?
that. Yeah, about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
would have been about that, yeah.
So, yeah, a lot has happened since then.
So you're going to fill us in?
Well, you're going to keep us in suspense. Come on.
I'll keep this in suspense. Most people know what's been going on because I put it on Facebook everywhere. So, but yeah, we outgrew the factory we were in, so we've moved to a brand new facility a few months ago, which has really ramped up our production, and with a few major changes in our international distribution network, and yeah, many new product ranges.
Oh, excellent.
Tell us about the new stuff you got coming through, the new paint stuff. So that sounds really exciting.
So we've been expanding on the auto colours. So they were the range we brought out in conjunction with
The HQ.
DDA,
Yep.
with HQs. Now we're with HJ, so we did some HJ colours come through. What was that, back in June? And now that the HJ kits are out, everyone's starting to really get into them. We'll be expanding more on the car colours again as more kits come out. We'll be having more colours.
Yep.
We've also got the wildlife series, which is a bit of a curveball for most people because they didn't expect it. That came about because we were talking with a local company here in Melbourne that does taxidermy.
Oh,
And
okay.
They imported a lot of stuff from America, and it was getting too expensive for them to do it, obviously, because the way the world is at the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
So they approached us and said we'd be interested in making some colours to suit the works that they do, which is essentially they skin the animal, get the skin. Well, they skin it, but they get the skin. They make the form work. They put the say, for example, a deer.
Yep.
They get the deer bust. They'll put it on this form. Then they need to touch it up, obviously, to give it a bit more natural colour. To do that, they need certain colours and certain paints. And unfortunately, water-based paint isn't really the best for those sorts of things because it doesn't adhere. So lacquers were the way to go. So they approached us back in April, I think it was, April or May. And we spoke with them, developed a range of 18 colours, which are about to launch in the next few weeks. I teased them back in June when we first tested them. But the first 18 colours will come out in that range in the next couple of weeks, and they're just some nice warm browns and greys that are more suited for your mammals.
Well, that's the last thing I would have expected
really cool
you to
idea,
be sort
though.
of doing paints for taxidermy. I mean, you wouldn't even have thunk that.
But
No,
it's
well,
great
if it
for
was
us
a-
modelers too.
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing. It sort of it crosses over quite well with figure painters, especially. And as you know, I always carry on about my dinosaurs. It always crosses over that too. So it's quite handy to have those basic sort of tones and shades there, so we can actually get natural looking, figures and that. So a lot of guys would use it for, in the figure painting realm, they'd use it for maybe doing horses, for example. Those colours would be very good for that.
Well, you have to remember that also the colours of animals are designed to suit terrain, right? So
Yes,
there's that too.
Yeah, so a lot of it's going to be crossover quite well with the normal scale modelling and figure painting scene. Even though they were developed with taxidermy in mind, there's a big, massive crossover between the two. So that should be good for us. And we're also we're working with another manufacturer here who does die cast to produce a range of truck colours as well.
Right, yep.
So we've been working with Bruce from Drake Collectibles.
Yep.
Yes.
Developing a range of truck colours coming soon. They're a few months out yet, but we'll have more information on them coming up the next few months.
Oh, very cool.
That's sensational news.
It is, isn't it?
We've got a couple of shows coming up in Australia, some big ones. We've got the South Australian Model Show coming up and also Canberra. Are you intending to go to either one of those?
Yeah, I'll be at both. I'll also be at, there's another one coming up at the end of September in Brisbane, which is GHMX, which is Games, Hobbies, Models Expo. That's a new one that started last year, so I'll be heading up for that one as well. That's 30th of September, 1st of October. And because unfortunately I wasn't able to make it to QMHE this year.
That looked like it was a great show, and we've got to try and get up there next year because that looked like it was a real cracker.
Especially the figures.
Yeah, I know.
The guys just the crazy figure painters up there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so QMHE, they invited me up, but unfortunately it was my son's birthday that weekend, so it was just like, family first.
Yeah.
And they understood that, but next year I'll definitely be going to QMHE. I'll put that out there now, so everyone's keen for that one. We'll be heading up for QMHE for next year, which will be 17th and 18th of August, 2024. And then, as I said, I'll be going to GHMX at the end of this month, and then SA Model Expo the weekend after that, and then Canberra's on the Remembrance Day weekend.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Yes,
that's going to be a big show. We're excited. about heading up
definitely. Very excited.
I'll be.
I'm definitely keen for it too.
I'll be popping across to South Australia. The boys won't be, but we're all going to be up there for Canberra, though. That's for sure. And next year, I'm planning to head over to the States, go to Madison, actually. So I don't know whether
That'd be good.
Yeah, it's about time you get yourself over there, Scott.
One day.
Yeah.
One day.
If Dave pays.
Hey.
Always volunteer someone else's money.
Yeah, I'd love to go after all these, but yeah, it's time and money sort of thing because, as you know, we're a pretty small company still, and we're pretty busy. So getting time to head away for extended periods of time is a bit tough at the moment. But hopefully, in the next few years, we'll be able to do more of these international shows and sort of get the SMS name out there more.
Well, I think the SMS name is quite sort of becoming extremely well known around the world. I mean, I can't think of a major continent that you're not on at the moment. You mentioned before you got some changes in regards to international shipping and stuff like that. So is there anything there that the average modeller needs to know, or is that more of a sort of back-end thing?
A bit of both. We recently, in the UK, we've recently changed our distribution. So we were with Free Model Centre, who was still a retailer of ours, but they were handling our wholesale to start off with. But unfortunately, a few things got in the way, and we had to change track on that. So now Albion Alloys, which have a distribution arm called Albion Hobbies, they distribute B2B for us in the UK, which has been really good for us. They've helped us expand, to 8 stores now, I think, in the UK.
Oh, cool.
That carry our products, and with more on the way. And they've also helping us get us a bit more coverage in some of the major magazines too, like FX Modeler and To Me a Model magazine. So you expect to see some of our products in those publications in the next few months, which is good.
Excellent. It's always good, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And well, I continue to contribute to Phoenix Scale Modelling as well, which is an awesome magazine. If you haven't picked that up yet, that's available you can get that digitally over here in Australia, or you can actually buy it in news agents now. That's a good read if you want to get hold of that one.
I can't say I've come across that before. Phoenix
Scale Modelling.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so they've got two at the moment. They've got 2 publications: Phoenix Scale Modelling, which is a bi-monthly, and Phoenix Aircraft Modeler, which is a monthly publication. And Phoenix have been around, getting close to 2 years, and I've pretty much written to every issue but one so far. I've had an article a feature article featuring obviously SMS products. So that's a good book if you want to get hold of it. As I said, it's in Australian news agents.
Oh, definitely have to look that up now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Always can have a look at the new magazine.
Yes.
It's also available on Pocket Mags, the app. You've got Pocket Mags.
Yeah.
Pocket Mags, you can look it up on there. So we're pushing forward with the UK, and we've got plans to push forward into Europe with the next couple of years based on how the UK travels. And then the only other major change, well, two major changes. The US is a little bit behind at the moment. We're having difficulties with shipping, just due to the congestion through all the shipping lanes.
Oh, yes.
America's shipping is absolutely screwed. No matter which way you go in or out, whichever country you come from, it's just a huge backlog into and out of America for sea freight, which is difficult for us. But we're working through it. And the other major change is we've got proper distribution now in New Zealand. So we've got, I think at the moment, it's close to 15 retailers now in New Zealand.
Wow, that's huge.
Which is pretty much the majority of them, because unfortunately New Zealand's a big modelling country, but there's not a lot of modelling hobby stores over there.
Right.
Compared to say, here there's probably more in Melbourne than there are in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but that's just the way of the world.
Yeah.
What have you got on your bench? I mean, I know you're busy, and we see you sort of pop out a dinosaur now and again, and the fact that the last show I met you at in Melbourne, you had a dinosaur there.
That's several.
One or two. What do you got on the table now? And in fact, have you actually got any time to sit down and do some modelling?
Well, it's actually been pretty tough to actually do any modelling lately. We've been flat out busy. The thing that is a major thing that's on my table at the moment is the new. It is a dinosaur, but it's the new Jurassic Park T-Rex kit from a Japanese company called X Plus, and it's a scene from the movie where Jeff Goldblum's running away with the flare with the T-Rex chasing him.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I've been working on that for a while. I've got it to primer stage. I've got everything assembled, all the seam lines filled, and I did a bit of extra 3D printing because I'm going to turn it into a full-on diorama sort of scene. So I've added 3D printed palm trees behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And so because the actual scene itself is just the road and that they're on, and the concrete bollards and that where the fence is in the movie. Mm. So I extended that out a little bit. So I think it was something like 50-something little palm trees, and then there was like a dozen taller palm trees I put in the back. So I've got to paint each one of them now, which is going to be fun.
Yes.
But that's the main thing on my desk at the moment is that kit. But then every so often I'll throw up I'll print out a dinosaur and paint that quick, or throw together. Actually, I've got a Gundam I'm building at the moment too, just for fun, because I haven't done one for a long time.
Yeah, well, we were really sorry that we couldn't have you on our last show when we had Marissa and oh God, I hang a mental blank now. Jody, yes. Because that was a great interview. I mean, essentially that's where you started from, wasn't it? It was from the Gundam sort of side of things and the range of paints, and that's why SMS was sort of came into existence as such. And it would have been really great to have you on the show with your contributions on that. But never mind, we got you here in the end, though.
That's the main thing.
Well, it was the same reason I couldn't be on last time. It was my son's birthday.
Yeah, I know. Family first. That's exactly right.
So I was like, the worst time you could have asked me.
Oh, well, we got you here in the end. Now, I know you've sort of teased us with some new stuff on the road. Anything sort of off the wall that you've got coming down the pike that you can perhaps hint at, or have you pretty much already covered everything off that is happening in the SMS world?
Pretty much covered most of it, what we've got coming up. We've got a bit of an expansion happening with the premium line too, so we'll be adding a few new aircraft colours. When I say a few, it's only 3.
Right.
But we've had, based on feedback, some of the RAAF colours we have, a lot of people use them for RAF as well, but some people didn't approve of those colours, so we decided we'll make some proper RAF colours. So we've got 3 new colours for that. They're just Spitfire colours, so RAF dark green, RAF dark earth, and night. They're the 3 main ones that people were requesting, so we were going to throw them in. More expansions again on the auto colours. So with I think the next one's coming out of Ford's.
Yeah, that seems to go big on gangbusters at the moment. The car model side of things. Yeah.
Well, that means there'll be some GTs coming our way, I gather.
Quite possibly.
Yeah. Which colours are they? Do you know?
Or? We haven't decided which colours yet, because we're working with DDA on those, because we put forward a bunch of colours that we think are suitable, and DDA come back to us with the ones that they think are appropriate, and then we sort of back and forth until we narrow them down to a certain amount. So our plan is to do every single time that DDA do a new kit. So HQ, HJ, next one will be XY, XW Falcons, then LJ Tiranas, then on and on. Each time we have a new one come out, we'll do 6 colours, 6 of the most popular colours from that time period to match those.
So I gather one of the colours will be Vermilion Fire.
What's that? Which one's that?
Yeah, that's a definite.
Yeah, you can't do an XY GT with that unless it's Vermilion Fire.
What colour's that?
It's that orangey red colour.
Yeah.
I would have thought one of the definite ones would be whatever that blue colour is that they put on. Well, I mean, Ford's colour is blue, so blue, right?
Yeah, well, that'll be the main ones we're looking at. Definitely the red, the blue, and the yellow.
Yeah.
Which like the Interceptor colours as well.
Ah, yes. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Ian, do you know if the blue that's on like the kind of cars that DDA would bring out for Ford, is that the same Guardsman blue as the US? No, different. Okay.
No, it's not a Guardsman blue.
Yeah, it was all Aussie paints done here in Australia.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Look at that Aussie paint of Aussie paint.
Well, car industry is a big part of our sort of manufacturing world once upon a time,
It was.
Yeah, anyway.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Scott, thanks very much for being on the show. If people haven't heard of SMS Paints or want to find out more...
They've been living under a rock.
Where can they go to find out more about SMS?
Yeah, jump on our website, scalemodeler.com.au. You can order direct, but we do prefer everyone uses their local retailer because, without the local retailers, we won't have a hobby industry. So there is a page on there, a link at the top in the menus. It just says find a retailer. Click on that. It'll come up with an interactive map. It will show you your local retailer. And if you don't have one nearby, jump on to one of the other retailers' websites, order online, or you can, as I said, order direct from us.
No worries.
That's very cool.
It is.
Yes.
All right, terrific, mate. Thanks very much. Great having you on the show. And when you got some more new stuff coming through, give us a hoy and we'll have you back on again.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
All right. Cheers, mate. Thanks.
All right, that's the end of the...
Okay, let's have a look at listener mail, and we've got quite a few that have actually come in, to tell you the truth. First of all, we got a fantastic email from our good mate, Martin Drayton, who writes in, "Hi guys, as ever, absolutely loving the podcast. Loving the podcast, a relaxed style. I enjoy it even more now that I've met you all. Just thought I'd add my opinion to the judging style discussion. I'm relatively new to the hobby, and like most people, I'm looking to develop my skills and improve. Other than working as a flight attendant, my other main job as a snowboard instructor and staff trainer, I've been very successful at this for 38 seasons. And one of the areas that has most helped my students and clients is constructive feedback, correction, and guidance. In my experience so far, I've received virtually none of that via the 1-2-3 system. I may submit a model that I feel is at least not out of place on the table, and it doesn't finish in the top 3, which doesn't bother me. However, I have no idea whether it might have been 4th or 24th, but more importantly, what I might do to improve it. Mm-hmm. With this system, your result is entirely dependent on who brings what, and in some cases, how many entries there are. At the recent IPMS Nats in Texas, you guys were sorely missed, by the way. There are some categories that with only 2 or 3 entries, so it didn't matter what standard they were actually at. They would receive an award, whether they truly deserved it or not. Surely that is the definition of a participant award. It makes much more sense to me to have your work judged against a standard. Then it becomes irrelevant who brings what or how many entries there are. You could also cut down on the ridiculous amount of separate categories: open top Dallard armour, closed top Axis armour, large single engines Axis aircraft, or the umpteenth splits, etc., etc. Plus, you will actually receive feedback on your pathway to improvement, which I would hope is the goal of all of us and for the hobby in general. I don't think the point of view, I don't think the point of view of it being a participation award is valid, because there is nothing that says any gold, silver, or bronze have to be awarded if entries don't reach that standard. Equally outdated is the idea that we have to do things a certain way because that's the way they've always been done. There are various open-style judging events worldwide that have large numbers of entries and manage quite happily to get everything judged in a timely manner. I think BJ Bedecker has done a mathematical study that shows how it could be done even with 3,000 entries perfectly efficiently. It's time we sat down and really talked about this, especially as it seems to be the majority of modelers who prefer the open style. So it's really time the IPMS to listen to their membership and stop making excuses. I intend to going to the AMPS National next year and experiencing the open system for myself. That's just my 2 cents as somebody new to the hobby who exists in occupations where feedback is everything. Take care, guys, and I hope I catch up with you soon at some point. Happy modelling. Kindest regards, Martin Drayton.
One of the nicest human beings I've ever met, I've got to say. No, it's very well put.
And he's not that far off, really, in what you're saying.
There's no point in the hobby just stagnating in the way it is.
No.
It's like everything. We need to evolve.
And to be fair, in the US, there's been a huge amount of ruckus at the moment that's been going on within IPMS and NCC. Far from us to comment because...
Well, we're on the other side of the globe.
Well, that we're... And while I'm a member of IPMS USA...
And mate, yep.
It's... I'll leave it to the other podcasts in North America because they're closer to the subject and
Exactly,
perhaps closer
yeah.
to what's going
Yeah.
on than what we are.
It affects them more than it does affect us.
Yes,
Yeah, it does.
it does.
But I think there's a flow on worldwide that the rest of the world should be watching this with interest.
Right.
Well, as time goes by and the internet's effects is to like connect all of these islands that have existed before the internet, right? Like, you know, us, US, UK, wherever else, Asia. Like these things, you would hope, would converge to some degree and unify, and you'd have like a more globally connected community.
Well, as one of our listeners wrote in last time, you know, what's wrong with having a worldwide standard in the way models are judged? I mean, we have it for, you know, all sporting competitions as a national standard and rules. Why can't we do the same for, you know, modelling? Yeah. And I don't think he's far wrong in saying that.
I think the main problem is it doesn't matter if it's IPMS USA or whoever. There's always the old guard who have always done it their way and they don't want to change. And that's what we've got to try and get away. We've got to.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm not saying the old guard are always wrong.
That's right.
But they need to evolve with the rest of us. We've got to. We've got to adapt. It's like nature. Adapt or die.
There's the element for things to stay the same, and there's the element for things to change.
Yes.
And these things have to balance off, and that's how these forces come together, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like sometimes things should stay the same. Sometimes things should change.
Correct.
And it's the clashing of the two that results in things going the way they should.
Because it's all really messy at the moment. But look,
sure.
it'll clear up.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what the fallout of this is moving forward in the future of the hobby.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed it's all going to work out for the best for everyone.
You know, with regards to, because, you know, like one of the big, you know, he'd mentioned like the feedback thing, and that there's always a whole bunch of ideas of like how you should go about it and balance off between all the work that has to go into just giving one piece of feedback versus you know, not giving any at all.
I think that boils down to it's always so much trouble at shows is getting people to volunteer to judge.
You know what I realized? That even in, say, an Olympic sport of some kind, right, where they do give out essentially a 1, 2, 3, right?
Correct.
Even then, you still see what all the other entrants placed at on the board.
Yes.
You still see who came 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. You don't see that here.
And it wouldn't be that difficult to do when you think about it.
You just write some numbers on a list.
Well, even that, like you go to most shows now, they've usually got like a large screen up somewhere, and all you could do is at the end of when all the judges completed is just have like a scroll that goes through all the categories, and we'll have where every single person has placed. Points value.
You could argue that such a system isn't that useful, but I mean, this is all. The fact is, right now there is no system. There is no feedback.
Yeah.
So while there's nothing in place, now's the time to bring any idea you've got to the table, right?
Yep.
Well, we'll keep in close contact with our colleagues in North America and see what comes out of all this kerfuffle. And the only thing I will say, it will only improve the modelling experience for everybody who attends shows. So I think it's a positive thing that what's happening now is happening.
And it's important to get it right because who knows when the next wave of change will be.
Well,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
May as well get it right the first time.
Yes.
Our next email actually comes in from Marissa. Mars, we had
awesome.
on last episode.
Yes.
She writes, "Hi, Dave, Ian and Julian. Thanks again for having Jodie and myself on the podcast. We've been hearing a lot of positive feedback around the Gumpler sphere here on Instagram."
Gumpler.
What did I say?
You said Gumpler.
Gumpler.
Whatever that is.
And there's a lot of talking points, which is great, though it would seem I need to bust out a better microphone next time. I'll definitely do that. And she's also sent a couple of ideas for future podcast topics, which I I do need to dive into, and certainly I will get back to you, Mars, on that, because there's some great ideas in there which I'd love to sort of.
And it was great having you and JD on board.
Oh, it was. It was awesome,
really
wasn't it? It was absolutely fantastic. Peter Kwong writes in, benches. While many people talk about needing to accept and include Gundams into the so-called traditional scale modelling, your podcast was the first that I know of that has delved into the subject matter. Peter, Built Sideways, talks about Gundam and sci-fi quite often, so go check those guys out. Your two guests were obviously passionate about the subject and really shed light on Gundam modelling world. I particularly liked the discussion about how Gundam models are judged with the three categories, that being straight build, repaint and custom, and their war stories about the world Gundam competitions, how women modelers are sometimes treated. Agreed. We think that's absolutely atrocious, and to bring the sex of a person into it is just absolutely ridiculous and so
sex or
outdated.
gender doesn't matter.
Yep, 100%.
If you build models, you build models.
Yep,
That's the way I look at it.
exactly right.
Doesn't matter what
if you build models, you're part of my tribe.
Correct.
Peter continues, I'm mainly a military aircraft modeller, but do dabble in various genres like armour, sci-fi, Formula 1 cars, and of course Gundams. My Gundam builds, I learned now, would be considered straight builds since I build Gundams for fun and relaxation, so don't worry about seams or painting except for things like eyes and sensors, for which the stickers just don't look good enough.
Yeah.
I will clean up the sprue nubs and polish the plastic back to its original sheen, and that's all I will do with them. My son is only interested in Gundam models, particularly the very expensive, perfect grade 160 scale ones, which he also just makes as straight builds. He has started to pay more attention to cleaning up the sprue nubs on the parts, but remains indifferent to painting or weathering, or even using the Gundam markers for colouring. Finally, your episode with Clayton Ockerby led me to go to his YouTube channel, where I found very well made and really enjoyable videos. I can certainly learn new tricks from his wonderful videos. That's Peter Kwong from Vancouver, Canada.
Thanks, Peter. That was good.
So the thing about if your son's interested in the perfect grade stuff, which is they're huge, right? And they're super expensive. And they only get more expensive once you buy the lighting kits for them. And, which is part of it, right? But if you don't want to go that far, there is the real grade models, which are the small scale, but they've got the high-end detail of like the larger kits in a more cost-effective package. So I think they're around like the $50 to $70 range, something along those lines.
Australian dollars, I gather.
Yeah. But they're not too big, and they've got very high parts counts and very detailed.
Yep. Very cool.
Charles Rice, one of our newest Patreon supporters, just sent a short email saying, "Are you still practicing that banjo, Dave?"
God, I hope not.
Is it still in here?
It is. It's right behind you. There it is.
Oh, it's not the same shape as the case it's in, is it?
Yeah, it is. Love the podcast. He says, keep up the great work. This is Charles from South Carolina.
Thanks, Charles.
Yeah, jeez. Okay.
All that picture that he included, like, do you want to learn to play banjo or something?
Oh, okay. Jean Grattan, right?
Jean?
Jean? Oh, it might be Jean. We'll find out.
It's French.
Or possibly. It might be Jean as in the woman.
Jane
Hard to
or
tell.
John. One of the two.
Sorry if we're anyway.
Being silly.
Hi, guys. In one of the last episodes,
Latest.
you talked about modelers who don't limit themselves to one specific genre. I, for one, like to dabble in figures, aircraft, cars, and some armour. Like mentioned, I find that I can expand my skills as various genres have you exercise different areas. I've also found that a very common technique in one field may be just getting known in the other. Now, on that note, our local IPMS chapter here in Ottawa, Capcom, has a category that I've never encountered in any other show. It's a triathlon category where modelers have to submit 3 subjects in 3 different genres to show their mastery. Thank you, gentlemen. For example,
sure you didn't have a stroke?
For example, a figure, a car, and let's say an aircraft. Now, having an aircraft and a helicopter will not do, as the subjects have to be totally different from one another. It's also a sort of best of award, so no 1, 2, 3 here. Over the last 3 years, it's been the category I build for, and I have to say that I did have success there. I'm just wondering if you've come across something similar in shows that you've attended. Cheers from Jean Grattan.
No.
No.
I've never come across that before, and that's really cool. That sounds really, really cool.
Yeah.
I would be really. I say that as someone who does build lots of
me
different
too,
things.
yeah.
So it feels like, that sounds something I could weigh into and do pretty well.
Yeah.
But that does interest me. I'd love to go in there and just like slap down like, here's a Warhammer thing and here's a car, and then I'm stuck because like I haven't won too many other categories. Maybe 72nd scale armor or something.
Yes.
I don't know.
Totally agree. No, that's
But the closest you come to that, it would be dioramas, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Multi-discipline sort of things.
It wouldn't do.
With the added, complexity of having to blend them all so they all look natural together.
Yep.
Next email comes from our good mate Dave Waples, who writes in, "Hi Dave, hope all is well. Came across a couple of interesting kits from the 3D world and not sure if it made your radar yet. First, there's an Otto Gereza from rcsubs.com. They've released a 1/144th version of the UB-1 class World War I submarine, and likely some photo etch that will come with it as well, which is a 3D printed kit. Then I came across one from Nautic Models. This is the Miko 200 frigate. They make a number of, which is made for a number of countries and operated by a number of countries, including Australia. However, it's different from the Vasco da Gama class frigate. And yes, Australia does use it. We call it the Anzac class.
Mm-hmm.
And
geez, for 1/700 scale, or is that 1/350?
That's 1/700 in the first picture.
Jeez,
and the
that's
second
amazing.
picture is a 1/350 scale.
That's beautiful.
And our
isn't
good
it?
mate Caldan and Tassie is actually looking at producing the Anzac class also in 1/350 and 700 as a 3D print.
And he's doing the Bathurst as well, isn't
I
he?
believe he is as well.
Yes, he's taking over from Pacific Crossroads.
Oh, geez, that looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm really intrigued by these particular ones that you've sent, David. I think they're really, really, really interesting. So
That's the kind of thing you would build, isn't it?
it is. Oh, 100%. I'd love to do an Aussie Anzac class frigate. I reckon it'd be awesome. But and this is what I was saying about 3D printing. I mean, you can kiss goodbye to photo etch because the rails are all done in 3D print. It just looks,
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
well,
it's all 3D.
You can see how thin they get. You look at that motorcycle I got from Copper State. How,
Yeah.
how thin
I
the
know you
stripes are
can
on
do
that.
it, but I don't know if it's necessarily that way in that because you might want to do them separately so that you can paint the decks properly, right?
No, some exciting stuff coming down the pike. You watch. It's going to be really, really cool. Thanks, Dave, for that. Really appreciate
that's
it.
awesome.
Next one comes in from Malcolm, and he writes, Mal, I should say. Hello, David, the podfather, Ian, the Dutch metalhead, and that other guy who likes Japanese cars. Just kidding, Julian.
The other guy. Wow.
Since Christmas last year, when I came across your podcast, I've caught up listening to the various model making podcasts that ultimately were due to the birth of On the Bench. 177, he's listing how many episodes he's listened to. 170 episodes of On the Bench, 123 episodes of Scale Model Podcasts, 97 episodes of Plastic Model Mojo, 75 episodes of Plastic Posse Podcast, 48 episodes of Sprue Cutters Union. In total, 513 episodes in 18 months.
In 8 months.
8
8 months, I should say. Wow.
Jeez, wow.
Is this your job to listen to modeling
Wow.
podcasts?
That's incredible.
I often find myself down the rabbit hole now when researching what I've listened to, from the various types of paint to airbrushing methods to surfing the web and gathering historical information to create authentic dioramas. Through your visionary, you three have created various pseudo-modelling clubs with online attendees from around the globe. More importantly, to have your company and that of other podcasters through the COVID lockdowns catered for the mental health of many here and abroad. Like many other modelers in their 50s, I have rekindled my love for plastic model making. Times have changed with all the new techniques and tools. Ian, photo etch wasn't my friend at the beginning until I succumbed to using Loctite 406.
Best super glue out.
100%. Wow, what a difference that makes. I could ramble on, however, I just wanted you three to know that due to your inception back in July 2017, the worldwide modelling community is grateful for what you have created. When speaking with the likes of Daryl from Gundam Plus Shop and Dennis at Metro Hobbies, the hobby of scale modelling has been increasingly growing due to all the podcasts. So thanks once again. And he also writes, P.S. David, curious how you know Bam Bam Peter Duncombe. Oh, I used to work with him, that's why. Ian is a fellow Cast Cop. You'd better be at the next Dutch festival next year.
Oh, I may have to.
And Julian, I hope you build a V8 Aussie muscle car one day, perhaps the DDA Tirana.
I've already been looking at the DDA Tirana kits. And I'm
So what are they, the LJs or the later version?
LX, is it?
Don't know.
It's the later ones.
Oh, the LX.
That I want. Yeah.
The squarish body.
Yeah, the squarish body. I do want to build those, but I want to see how many boxes end up coming out in the end, because I don't want to build one that and then try and modify it into what I want.
Correct.
And then what they bring out a unboxing that's closer, later. So what I'd want is just a straight standard build, right? No fancy, custom engine kind of.
So you just want a factory.
Yeah, so there's one currently of the Tirana ones. There's one with a big blower on it, and then there's another one with twin turbo or whatever. I don't want that. I just want something that's straight, or a HDT Bathurst Tirana.
Interesting.
That's what I want.
But the HDT Bathurst ones, didn't they?
Is it HDT? It's the one with the Marlboro.
Yeah, well, that's the sticking point. How
so you won't be able to get the Marlboro.
Well, you will. You can. I reckon there's a way around doing the cigarette sponsorships.
Yeah.
And that is when you have like Marlboro.
Yeah.
Do the way they do in Europe when they do swastikas on their decal sheets.
What's that?
Cut it. So it's actually two separate pieces you have to join together. That way it's not printed as Marlboro.
That's interesting. I don't know if that would necessarily work with legalese and stuff, but I just settled for the actual physical part of it, and I can just do the art, myself.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and in that scale, you should be able to utilise your
the
stencil cutter.
Yeah, stencil cutter. Yeah.
Okay. And I also noticed he's sent some photos of a...
Mal sent some photos. He's got an Aussie Abrams as well as...
is it Aslav or something?
Aslav as well.
Freaking nice jobs. They look beautiful. Put them on our Facebook page.
Yes,
Mel?
the On Your Bench Facebook page.
Yes, On Your Bench.
So go check that out as well. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And just one last email from our good mate, Kevin.
Kevin Footer.
He writes in, G'day, David and Julian. I'm pleased to announce that the latest ebook from KLP Publishing has now been released, entitled Scratch Building the Hawker Fury in 1/18th Scale, written by Peter Castle of Airscale fame. This is a 415-page ebook which takes you through Peter's masterful scratch build of the Hawker Fury biplane in 1/18th scale, detailing all the techniques he used to create his masterpiece. We've also included 160 plus walk-around images of the preserved Fury at Cosford and extensive tutorials on working with metal and the joy of creating your own designs for photo etching. All this for the princely sum of 20 Australian pesos.
Well, I guess that's what I'll be ordering. I'll definitely be getting that book. That looks not something my genre, 1/16th scale scratch building, but I just love looking at that stuff. It just really, just gets me hyped up.
Yep. So
I can see you reading stuff like this with a with a robe on and the library in the background and the fireplace and a pipe,
in my wingback chair.
Yeah.
So go to www.klp.com.au to go and check that out. Yep. Very cool. Thanks, Kevin, for that. All right, we'll have a very short break and we'll come back and find out what the Falcon has got to say about new kits. Back very shortly.
Models from Ukraine podcast brings you all the latest news and views from the model manufacturers of Ukraine and the modelers that support them. With interviews including Mini Arts, ICM, Armory Models, ResKit, Dora Wings, Ace Model and many more, you can find out what some of the best model companies in the world are doing and how you can help them and Ukraine. Check out the Models from Ukraine podcast on your podcast app of choice or at modelsfromukraine.buzzsprout.com.
All right, let's see what the Falcon has dug out for us, shall we?
When you said before, what the Falcon, I thought that was like an expression.
What the Falcon? Hi, Dave, Ian, and Julian. Aircraft news. Hobby Boss are about to release a 148 scale Hawker Hurricane Mark II-C. There are 3 marking options. I wonder how many, if any, will be accurate. Ouch.
Well, they do have a reputation. And it'd be a hard press to go up against the Armour Kit Models kit. Yeah, I've still got to get my hands on that. That is such a stunning kit.
HK modelled 148 scale Lancaster B3 Dam Busters will be released in September. There will be a single marking option. Guy Gibson's AJG for George Deckel's by Cartograph.
Oh, so decent decals.
Yeah, Special Hobby to release a special high-tech boxing of their 32nd scale Westland Whirlwind FB Mark I. The kit will feature an exposed nose showcasing the quadruple 20mm cannons and ammunition drums. There are also improvements to the cockpit interior. The new parts will become a combination of resin, 3D printing, and photo etch. Also, in the package, double-sided masks for the transparencies and the wheels, and 4 marking options will also be provided. Zimmy Models, who acquired many of Kitty Hawk's molds, will be completing many of Kitty Hawk's stalled projects.
Cool.
They recently showed CAD renders of the 48 scale Vought F6U Pirate, the US Navy's first all-jet fighter. Other ex-Kitty Hawk projects to be completed by Zimmy are the Kamov KA-50 Black Shark, the Kamov KA-52 Alligator Hock'em B, which is obviously in the news with the conflict over in Ukraine and Russia. The Vought F7U 3/3M Cutlass. I'm pretty sure Whitey from the Geeks will be interested in that. The CAIC WZ-10 Chinese attack helicopter. The Bell AH-1 Whiskey Cobra. The Sukhoi Su-25K Frogfoot. And the Sukhoi Su-25UB and UTG Frogfoot B. All of these apparently are going to be in 48 scale. Oh, that'll be interesting. ICM have shown the first CAD renders for their 48 scale Mitsubishi KI-21-1AB.
Yay.
The shapes look very good, and there appears to be some nice interior detail. Looking forward to this being released near the end of the year.
Same as me.
Tamiya have made a couple of surprise 148 scale announcements. Grumman General Motors FM-1 Wildcat / Martlet Mark V. They will be based on the older F4 kit. How much will be new, I can't say, but Tamiya explicitly referenced the 4-gun wing, so there will be a new wing parts at the very least.
Well, hang on. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the FM1s had a taller tail too.
Oh, they may well have.
So it'd have to be a new fuselage.
Oh, there you go. The press release at one point said both kits, so perhaps there will be separate boxings for the FM1 and for the Martlet. Don't hold me to that, though. A single boxing with multiple marking options seems more likely. Also new from Tamiya is a 148 scale Lockheed Martin F-35B. If, like me, you might be thinking, wait, what? Didn't Tamiya just release a 48 scale F-35? Actually, they did release a new F-35, but that was the A model. So this is the newest one is the B model, which is the vertical takeoff and landing version with the lift engine in the back behind the pilot. So it's very different from both the A and the C models. So you will need to buy this kit. Look out for these new Tamiya aircraft kits coming in November. Mini-Art have shown sprues for their 48 scale P47D-25RE. What's that stand for? Reconnaissance version? Or?
No, it's just the...
Yeah, okay.
It's just the full code that you wouldn't normally hear of.
Right, okay. Might be worth pulling up the pics so you can have a look, and apparently it's on the Modelling News website. Looks very good to my eyes. The riveting isn't as fine as Edward, but still pretty good. Some are saying the corrugated cockpit floor isn't correct for the type. Jeez, you're really getting into counting some things there, aren't you? Have a look at how thin the trailing edges of the control surfaces are, and note that the sprues hint at other versions.
I had a look at that this morning, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It looks really nice.
Does it really?
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Are you concerned that the cockpit floor isn't particularly correct?
I'm not that familiar with with the cockpits of those aircraft.
It's very important for a P-47 because if you believe the way people talk, the P-47 was so big that you could have fallen out of the chair and onto the floor.
Well, you say the same about a Mitsubishi Raiden. Those things had a massive cockpit too.
No, I'm just like parroting like the old things like.
Yeah.
We have seen more details about Border Models' forthcoming 35th scale B5N2 Kate / Akagi Island and deck combo kit. As you would expect at this scale, the Kate will have a detailed interior. There will also be a choice of ordnance, a torpedo and an 800 kilo bomb made from converted 16-inch shell as used to bomb the battleships at Pearl Harbor. The carrier island, the part of the kit which has attracted the most interest, will have clear window parts and a small lighting kit. 4 figures will also be included. Gee, that's interesting. Though if you want a realistic bridge, you'll need a lot more figures.
Oh, yeah.
The salarymen being pushed into the train carriage would have felt right at home on the Japanese carrier bridge. Unfortunately, there won't be any rolled-up mattresses to decorate the bridge. I'm sure aftermarket will come
Well,
to the rescue.
depends. If you're going to do Pearl Harbor, you won't need it.
Why's that?
Well, because they didn't have the rolled-up mattresses. It wasn't until they started getting into combat and realising how flimsy the armour was on the bridge and so forth is when they started getting all the rolled-up mattresses to try and negate shrapnel and ordnance fire.
Naval news. Oh, jeez.
Yay.
God bless you, Falcon. ICM about to release a 1/72nd scale kit of the U-boat type Molch, which is a German midget submarine. Just going to be big in 72nd scale.
Oh, then again, it's a midget. So.
Yeah. Zimmy Models have announced a 35th scale quad Bofors naval mount. The kit will include photo etched 3D printed accessory parts and possibly figures.
Nice.
In military vehicle news, Rifle Models have a couple of new releases coming up. A 35th scale Panzer IV OSFG and a workable Winterkitten trucks. There will also be an M1A1 Abrams Ukraine/Poland 2-in-1 limited edition kit. The kit will feature 200 plus pieces of the contact ERA bricks, the reactive arm bricks. Yep. ICM have shown CAD renders for a 35th scale SD KFZ 251/8 OSF Krankenpanzerwagen. Did I get that right, Ian?
You're pretty close. Krankenpanzerwagen.
He was waiting for you to
I was waiting
screw that
for
up.
this one.
No marking options revealed yet, but I'm betting there will be some nice big red crosses in the mix.
Well, gee, I've got a ton of SD KFZ 251s, but I don't have the ambulance version, so that'd be worth looking into.
I think I might have mentioned this a while back, but Ace Models have just shown CAD renders for their first 1/35th scale kit. And it's a half-ton light 4x4 truck. Ace models make very nice 72nd scale armour kits covering the usual subject matter, so their foray into the larger scale is now most welcoming. GMU models. Who? I can't keep up with all these manufacturers. Well, we can't either, Mr. Falcon. Have shown sprues for 3 new 48 scale kits. There's a US Army M274 Mule, another one for a M274 Mule with a 106 recoilless gun, and a US Army cargo trailer known as the Ben-Hur. Looking at the pictures of the sprues, quality looks okay, but have no doubt these are short-run kits. However, the 106mm gun is 3D printed. Pit Road are releasing a new version of their 35th scale IJA Type 97 motorcycle, the Rikiko with sidecar.
It's Rico. Rikiko. You put like an extra I in there.
Go on, laugh it up. Laugh it up.
Yeah, but the Pit Road, I find those kits difficult to get your hands on.
Oh, they are, yeah. Because they've got some great naval subjects.
I'm not just that.
Yeah,
they do a... is it a Rolls-Royce armoured car that the Japanese used
really?
in their attack of Japan with the domed turret on the top with the twin Lewis machine? The two machine guns?
Is this the kit that looks like a fine molds kit?
Yeah.
Or is that an actual fine molds kit that I'm thinking of?
No, this was Pit Road.
Okay.
And it was just, I found one once, but gave it to someone for a birthday present now.
Oh, no.
Because I wasn't into that subject at the time. But
oh, well.
So the new motorcycle is going to have small fret of photo etch parts. That's pretty cool.
Okay. Halliburton will be re-releasing their 135th scale VAB 4x4 APC. This release will come with Ukrainian markings. IBG models are making the most of their 35th scale Lancer 3RO truck. They're releasing a Lancer 3RO truck with 100mm howitzer. The kit will come with 4 figures, of whom 3, I was excited to see, are wearing pith helmets. Surely the most stylish of all headwear. I wish I only got the opportunity to wear mine more often. So does the Falcon own a pith helmet, does he now?
There you go.
Little secrets coming out.
Yes.
Magic Factory have shown off built test shots of their forthcoming 135th scale MRZR-D4 ultralight tactical all-terrain vehicle. It will be a dual combo kit with 2 vehicles, one an armoured MRZR-D4 and the other an anti-drone MRZR. In addition, there is a trailer for the armoured version. Amusing Hobby will be releasing a 35th scale T-80U main battle tank with full interior. That'd be interesting. And Hobby Boss have 2 armoured kits for release in September. A 72nd scale Panzer 38-ton OS FE/F. There are going to be 6 decal options on this one. In the past, Hobby Boss have been pretty miserly with their marking options. Just 1 or 2, so it's good to see they're up in their game in this respect. And also from Hobby Boss, a 48 scale Panther OS FA kit, which includes link and length tracks and photo etch grills. Only 2 marking options are provided, so Hobby Boss are back to their stingy ways with this one.
Yeah. And I found with a lot of their kits too, they just show the markings, but they don't tell you what unit or where it's from. And I find that really annoying.
Yeah. The Airfix 35th scale Ferret Scout car is only a day or 2 away from release. They have shown 3 finished models of the kit with provided markings. Looks reasonably nice, but the interior parts were very simplified. Still, it looks like a Ferret and no doubt will be popular in countries where it saw service. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be buying one of them. Asuka.
The mold kit or a ferret?
No, well, I'd love a real one. That'd be awesome. As in, not the animal you're for. Actually, my youngest had some ferrets. They were nasty.
And they smell.
Yeah, you apparently have a lot of baby powder to keep them smell down, but geez, they used to bite.
I know, they're vicious little things. So Asuka, yep.
Asuka have mixed and matched some of their sprues and come up with another Sherman variant.
It's literally just, shake the box.
A 135th scale US medium tank M4 composite Sherman known as the Cupid. The kit has a turret with cast-in cheek armour, and the hull is the hybrid world cast type. The kit includes 6 periscope guards, markings for just one vehicle known as Cupid. Dragon continue to reissue upgraded boxings of their old kits. They are next up are a couple of 135th scale Panthers from the Italian theatre.
Probably beef the price up too.
Oh, yeah. Panther OSFG early production with the 26 Panzer Regiment Italian front. And the kit includes 3D printed cylindrical stowage bin and muzzle brake, a metal barrel, magic tracks, copper towing cable, and photo etched turret roof armour. The other one is a Panzer OS F early type, Italy 43-44 premium edition. And the upgraded parts for this kit include a 3D printed muzzle brake, turned brass width indicator poles, metal side skirts, copper towing cable, metal barrel, and an extremely comprehensive photo etch fret. Oh, there you go. Border Models now have announced 3 35th scale German World War II kits. Oh, jeez. That's a bit of a yawn for me, this sort of stuff going on. Anyway.
So what's the first one's a Tiger? Tiger one?
Yeah, Tiger.
Well, that's the proper German pronunciation.
Tiger, early production, Battle of Kharkov. Next one's going to be a Hummel, 15 centimetres, self-propelled howitzer, early production. And the other one's going to be a Hummel, late production, SPH. To me, I have announced a 35th scale Panzer IV OS F Plus motorcycle. It contains a fairly decent Panzer IV-F, the 6 figures from the Panzer OS FG, and the now quite elderly DKW NZ35 motorcycle and rider. And finally, Gecko Models have shown up-to-date box armour for their promised 35th scale British World War II Morris C8 Field Artillery Tractor Mark II late version. This is slated for release in October 2023 and was sure to be extremely popular. And that's it from the Falcon for this week.
Some interesting stuff in there.
Gentlemen, you got any news?
No.
No.
Oh, that's pretty quick. How about we let's give Lincoln a ring and see what he's up to.
Yeah,
sure.
All right, no worries. We'll do that back very shortly. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome a very old and great friend of ours, Lincoln Wright, back to the show. G'day, Linc. How you going, mate?
G'day, Dave. I'm not that old.
Not that kind of old.
No, it's really great to be back. Thanks for having me again, guys. It's this is the #1 show that I pretend to enjoy to be on.
Good to hear.
Hang on a second. I'll take that as a sideways compliment.
Well, I pretend to like coming here as well.
Oh, well, there you go. The truth
Can
comes
we go
out.
around can we go around the room now and confess to what we pretend like?
That's it.
Airfix. No, I don't pretend to like that either.
Making model kits. Yeah.
So while we're on, that subject of model kits, unfortunately, the Falcon kit that I was building last time we spoke, I stuffed up on that and never ended up finishing it. It was irredeemably
Stuffed.
Yeah, I couldn't salvage it. Is what happened. So what happened was I sprayed it.
Call you out on it. It's like you totally could have gotten away with it.
No. Look, you don't understand. Like I sprayed it with this.
Like going to the principal's office and saying I didn't start those fires.
That's it.
Well, I mean, like most people I know will just go, "Oh, it's just Julian things," he stuffed up on a kit and then he threw it in the bin. That happens every day of the week almost. But this, I still need to tick the box of MAK, and I will do it. But I couldn't do it with that kit because I sprayed it. What happened was I sprayed it with a spray can, and like the paint all congealed or something, and it drew back from the model and clumped in one spot in the center.
Wow.
I don't know what I can only assume that it was like either the weather was too cold or the there was like the paint was off of some kind.
Is your workbench near an undisclosed black hole anomaly?
Could be.
Well, I
know
haven't
mine
specifically
is.
checked for it, but
Because I'm forever losing pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you put it on the bench and you turn around to do something, go to look for it, it's gone.
now.
Dave, these guys have totally hijacked the show. Is that all right?
Oh, look, that's fine. It's as much their show as it is mine, so that's fine.
No, I was saying that just as a trying to make it as a funny aside. But that's what I love about the show, how freeform and rolling it is, because that's why we get to talk about such cool things.
Yes, and so and the other thing I wanted to ask you about is because I did see somewhere. There might have been when I was in Japan earlier this year, but there was isn't there like a smaller scale version of the Falcon coming out from somewhere?
Yes, exactly. So Max Watanabe-san, who he was in that Mark 44 book I did, and he's been rolling with the series forever. Max Watanabe Sensei, and he's one of his like subsidiaries of the Good Smile companies, Plamax. They're the ones who made that really large scale Valkyrie kits from Macross, the big 120 scale ones. They've now done a 135 scale version of the Falcon kit.
Oh, yeah, because
that's
a much
really
more manageable size, I reckon.
Yeah.
And it comes with the trolley.
It's wrong.
It
should be 120 scale.
Well, how big do you want kits? I mean, like I've only got that much space, and like if I had gotten that Falcon finished, it would have taken up an entire shelf.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I got used to that too. So because I was making 148 scale tanks. Was something I really got into. So, and Warhammer stuff. Then suddenly, you start doing this 120 scale nonsense with Machining Krieger, and it's an embiggening of the soul, as Homer Simpson would say.
Yes.
But I do get it. That's why it's really it's both smart and empowering. I think that they've got a couple of manufacturers now getting into 135 scale kits, which is pretty cool, because you've got the Kyoto on one side. They did that double boxing of the Croat, the Krete kit.
Yes.
135. And and then Max has got the 135 coming of the Falcon. And it looks really good. It looks like the details are quite nicely deep, because that's one thing that I find is a little bit soft with the Hasegawa. Hasegawa was made, it's kind of one of their early releases. They've subsequently gotten a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
But the Falcon kits, they need a little bit of TLC with the old, they're very aircraft kits and needing the details to be maybe deepened up a bit.
Yeah. I think like if it was a more modern kit, they'd have probably like put a bit more reinforcing inside so that it makes those forward sections a bit more rigid and like easier to get together.
And you're right, it's huge.
Yeah, and like
it's a pretty big kit. Yeah,
and with like plastic kits, like the thickness of the plastic in any kit is mostly the same, no matter the size of it. So when you get to that big, and then it's got no like bulkheads and things like that to sort of stiffen it up, it sort of
gets a bit of flex happening.
Yeah, it gets like you have to do a lot of work with to sort of make sure that those halves come together perfectly.
Absolutely,
Yeah, the mating of the Falcon halves, it's its own thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I released I've got a video on that too, like a how-to, and I called it something stupid like, the mating the halves of the Falcon on the Serengeti, because getting them to join up, and I was doing that when I wasn't so experienced with proper scale modeling. I mean, we could say, from many people's point of view, I'm still not properly experienced with proper scale modeling. because I'm only making this pretend stuff, but the sci-fi stuff. Mm-hmm. But that was quite an introduction to
Wait a minute. Science fiction is proper and real modeling. Come on.
It's the way of the future, man.
I was trying to be self-effacing. So I was pretending. Can we go to that? That's our theme for today. Pretending.
No. Here on the bench, it's a broad church where we welcome all forms of building.
Actually,
Hallelujah.
I did see you on the bench get called out in a very positive way with regards to showcasing various aspects of the hobby. Somebody was asking for more sci-fi content, and one of your esteemed listeners did pitch in and say, "Hey, on the bench does some great stuff on various aspects of sci-fi." No, I was proud for you.
Oh, thank you. It's a bit of a hill that I'm dying on because at normal sort of model shows, Gunpla isn't properly represented within the categories. Science fiction isn't properly represented. Real space isn't properly represented. And yet you can sit down and if you enter an aircraft, you've got about 30 categories in which to consider to put your aircraft in. And yet science fiction, it'll either be in one category lumped with everything, or
miscellaneous.
If you got a real space, it'll end up in miscellaneous. Or if you've got a Gundam, it'll end up in Gundam / Mecha, which is anyway,
2 different fish.
That's the flag I've got planted, and I'm standing on the hill dying by it.
I have the solution. I really do.
Yep.
Mud flaps, mate. Mud flaps. Start putting mud flaps on everything, and then they can go into the mud flaps category. We've always got trucks without, trucks with. So then we're going to have spaceships with mud flaps.
Yeah.
Robots with mud flaps.
Yes.
Is this you going on the record and officially advocating for mud flaps on the Falcon?
Hey, the funny thing is,
it looked pretty cool, actually.
Did you got it completely built, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's got those little. It's kind of got those extra exhaust ports on either side. Got the
I know the ones. Yep.
Yeah, and I think it's got a couple of the scratch build. I think they're pieces off a 135 tank kit, maybe, but they look a little bit like mud flaps, though. You remember the parts I'm talking about?
There you go. There you go.
My explanation was pretty crap. Sorry, but yeah.
So basically, if you build another one, Julian, you got to paint those things black and put a Yosemite Sam on it with back off.
Oh no, terrible.
Actually, we could do a shout out to our triple P buddies with yeehaw!
Yeehaw!
I don't know if I said that right. I think that's the first time in my life I've tried to say yeehaw!
Well, yeah, that's a very Americanism, isn't it?
Yes. Now you've got a new book coming out, haven't you? Or you have got a new book coming out. Let me reiterate.
Yes. Lunar Combat. It's I've pretended to make space stuff really well, and invited friends. I pretended to have friends.
Very cool.
That's all right. I can be one of your pretend friends.
Oh man, those moments when you try to drop a joke and it just dies on arrival. Right? You're not. I've got a teenage daughter. I should be used to not being funny by now.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You just by just waking up, you embarrass them.
Yes. Exactly.
I saw this photo of is it the lead singer from Slayer?
Right.
And he appeared in public with his family. And his daughter's giving the eye roll, So even if your dad's like one of the most well-renowned
metal artists
of all time, she still thinks her dad's cringe.
You can't win.
Oh, that's so funny. But yeah, with seeing the news, I kind of saw it coming, and I won't pretend to have not known. I'm able to. How do I say this without sounding like a bit of a dick?
Well, just say it.
But even saying that, you instantly prefaced dick. So I'm able to have a little bit of a sneaky peek at what's coming down the pipe with the Machine and Krieger releases. So I was aware, or was at least made aware, that a couple of them were quite lunar combat focused. They were moon space battle type things.
All right, yep.
And they've just come out. So one of them just came out this week, and it's very nicely timed. There's a renewal of the very first kit that was released by Wave. So it was kind of a Frankenstein of the Nitto stuff, the model cast and stuff, and I think they pretended to repop a couple of parts, and that became the Fireball stopgap.
All right, yes.
Yeah, and it's the one that's got the Ghoul Squadron markings on the cover on the tan box. And so that'd be something like 20-something years since it was released. Yeah, I think it was 22, if I'm correct. Somebody will know better than me. People who actually know the stuff properly will correct me on that one. So it was a big deal for them to then do a new tooling of it, combining some of the other parts that have come out. And it just happened to be, like, that was maybe the third kit I made back in the day, and it was the first one that I actually showed Ko Yokoyama Sensei. And made a bit of a fool of myself. So here is how I paint the thing. And it made quite a nice story. So there was that one, and also they've got the new tooling of the Flieger. It's Flieger. I know the German pronunciation I know is wrong. German friends will tell us how wrong we are.
Of course they will.
But I've only heard Japanese friends saying the wrong German mispronunciation. So super apologies in advance. And then as I know what we English speakers tend to read it as.
Yeah, because I know I was corrected in the pronunciation for the Kroat, because it's actually in German it's Krotte.
Oh, there you go.
They actually pronounce the E, which actually is German for, I think, bullfrog or frog.
Yeah. It's a bit kind of like I think it's almost like a toad type thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
A bullfrog, yeah. And my German friends say it in a way that I can only, aspire to, the Kräuter. I'm like, dude, that is so legit.
Das
Say it again. Kräuter. I'm like, wow. And but and Japanese folks say, I've forgotten now because I've been trying to say it more German friendly, but they say Kroat, or is this Kräuter? Man, they're trying to remember three versions of something that's not real. Can be a bit of a challenge, can't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, by the time you throw the Australian accent on top, it'll be crater.
Yeah, exactly. Then we've got to Aussify it up. It's Kroat, mate.
Great.
And then I bounce them back. Like sometimes I'll have an opportunity to mention it to Yokoyama-san, and he wants to say them how the people who would do it if it were real, would say it. So he's got this imagination that the Austral Democratic Republic folks might say it in a Germanic way. So he's kind of happy for that real life feedback as well. So then he'll kind of invent a new version of it, and I got to remember it to use it in conversation with him, because it's really embarrassing as a second language speaker. Sorry, I know this is a really weird, divergent thing, but as a second language speaker, if you get one word kind of wrong in a sentence that nobody knows what you're talking about, it throws everything off, and then then your confidence gets kicked in the guts, and then you start stammering and stuttering, and idiocracy ensues.
Can you just get around it by just using serial numbers for the actual kits, like the product code?
Nobody knows them.
Yeah, but you could, and then you circumvent the whole thing.
Well, hey, that's interesting. So talking about books again, I'm so careful to pedantically, recheck that we're getting them right. in the soft copies of putting the books together, because I'd hate to get that wrong for people who are really into that kind of thing, because it's so cool how legit Maschinen Krieger is. They put so much thought and effort into it, to making sure that, different things like serial numbers and the art numbers, and each of the kits has its own special designations, right? I've got to make sure I put them in correctly, because, we all look at things differently, don't we? We've got our engineering mindsets, our different mindsets.
Yeah, that's right.
Got to make sure I get them right.
Yes.
I will admit, I found that I wrote democratic. I'm not even going to try to do the German pronunciation. The word's based on the East German version that's spelt with a ISCHE. Democratic.
Democratics.
Yeah, something like that. So why have we got to bung on the accent for it too, haven't we? Democratics.
It just comes natural, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I spelt it wrong. And I was like, oh, bloody hell. I was so happy I spotted that, because, I pretend I've got German mates, and they would never let me live it down. That I had messed that one up, so that was important. That one got spotted. Please don't be any more versions of it.
You know what this dilemma reminds me of? I remember hearing that they wouldn't let, even though Arnold Schwarzenegger can speak German, they wouldn't let him speak in German on German TV. They wanted to speak in English because he sounds like, because with his accent, he sounds like a farmer or something. It's like these weird, quirky, localisms.
Oh, wow, because he's quite, not only would he be, I think he's from the countryside, isn't he? But
he's Austrian.
Yeah.
Also, wouldn't his German also be like from a different time period? Because that's a thing.
Yeah, he left Austria in the 60s or 70s to go to the US. So,
yeah. So, because your language skills are time-based.
Yeah,
I know it sounds weird, but
and they atrophy if you don't sort of use them as well.
Yeah, like I come on the bench just to bone up on my Aussie language skills. I'm getting my Aussie update from being on the bench, but because we heard of some like, for example, some weird Japanese so what do you call it? Like a not a euphemism. It's a beat down. It's a word you're not supposed to use.
Right.
So it's not a cuss word, but it's a way. It's a derogatory way that people refer to nerds that came into being since I've been away from Japan.
Oh, you're talking about weebs?
Well, actually, that was another one that I first struck coming back to Oz. People were like, a bit of a weeb, aren't you, mate? And I'd never heard it before. And I was like, it's because weeb was invented whilst I was away. So that was a real weird one. It's like, no, it was just...
Well, I imagine a lot of our listeners don't know what that phrase means. And so, like, weeb is short for, like, weeaboo, which is used to reference... Yeah. That's the original word used to call people who, in a derogatory sense, people who watch anime, and are into Japanese sort of stuff at a service level to some degree, But there's been versions of that carry across to, say, for example, there's a Viraboo, which is referred to people who obsess over German things, like people who only make Luftwaffe aircraft. And then there are versions of that for like other...
You can say Kreuter.
Yeah, and like there's version, like, and then there's America-boo, which is a Japanese person who obsesses over American culture.
Wow.
Note to self, don't look at Ian's web history.
My web history.
Julian's web history going to worry about.
Julian.
Mine's pretty dead.
I'll tell you what. you know when you go through your history to find something that you looked at once before, and you're just death scrolling through all this stuff because you realize you spend way too much time on the internet. That's me.
Oh wow!
This book. So what's in this book that's different to the other book?
Okay, I gotta stuff the following the acclaimed Volume 1. Linc and Wright and friends share their lunar combat inspired works, special operations across the lunar orbit. Keep falling down the MAK rabbit hole here. So, in having a narrative for the books, because there's a lot to show. There's quite a bit of scope for Maschinenkrieger. There's so many kits out there. But the first one was nice and simple because I thought, okay, let's do something, jokingly I'm saying this, let's do something not Maschinenkrieger because it's nice and self-contained, excuse me. Is my speech reasonably clear, guys?
Yeah, perfect.
Sometimes, with the little health bump, I did suffer a bit of a setback on walking and talking.
Right.
Just putting it out there. So sometimes I feel it. I feel the stumbling. So I just wanted to apologize to your listeners. If I'm a little unclear, there's reasons for that.
Yep.
With the Mark 44, it's all contained within actually a separate side story called Robot Battle. And so that's nice and simple. It's nice and easy. But Maschinenkrieger proper, we've got all the way back from SF3D up until like the current releases. It's quite a bit of scope to cover. So with the second one, because the book's coming from my perspective, Yokoyama-san asked me to do that for him. My second kit was a lunar pawn. So it was, the first one was the ground pounder version. The second one was the moon combat version.
Yep.
So that made a very natural progression to me to then continue the story by talking about how the battle had progressed to conquest of the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And the mercenary forces trying to wrest control from the Strahl, from the top down, from getting control of the moon. And I thought also it ties up nicely to real life because there's a renewed interest in going to the moon.
Well, indeed, it's almost a renewed sort of race to the South Pole now.
Exactly.
Because of the potential of water being there, which obviously would be used as you need water when you get to the other end, so you can make it as a fuel and oxygen.
Do you mean the South Pole of the moon?
Yeah.
Okay, just to make sure.
Isn't that where the Indians headed?
Well, the Indians landed there just recently. Russia,
they landed.
They crashed. China's had a rover down there running around the dark side of the moon for years now. So it's all hotting up again.
It is, yes.
Let's give our Russian friends their due. I mean, they hit the.
Well, they got there, didn't they?
They made it.
Yeah.
It was just that it's only that technicality of that soft landing on the other end. They kind of, I'm not sure they fully turned it around, and it's like, boom, nailed it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just wondering when Arse is going to have a go at it.
I think Australia is sending something up. I was reading something about that as well. But yeah, this renewed interest in the moon, and I didn't know about the South Pole activity at the time because I started working on this book, a bit over 12 months ago. So it was more about the NASA. The NASA the bump with I think it's called the Artemis project.
Yep.
Pushing on from there, and the showing some of the problems that they were discussing about how they're going to deal with the environment on the moon, etc., really got me to thinking, hey, these are modeling opportunities that we can kind of get in front of because. Sorry, this is a kind of a bit more of a weird aside, but I try to think like this to try to get more value into modeling for us. For example, like how Stanley Kubrick was planning his movie just before the Apollo missions actually got to the moon. So that was really interesting to go back and rewatch that And
well, some conspiracy theorists, Linc, think that Stanley Kubrick was actually the one who filmed the Apollo landings on the moon. Crackpots.
Yes. It's great, isn't it? Yeah,
and just as a side note, with India landing on the moon, so the cost of that program was a little less than what Australia spends on sports fields.
Wow.
At a federal level.
Oh, really?
So it cost them $73 million to get that program and land on the moon, and we spend that money on sports fields in Australia. So
see where our priorities are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but doesn't that mean we still get to kick their ass in all sports?
Definitely.
Yes, cricket. Yes, that's right.
So I say money well spent, but I'm kidding around. It's like, well, yeah. One of the other things, but to continue on, not saying you cut me off. I'm not. so I realized how that sounded. Was that I wanted to get more of an international involvement for Maschinen Krieger as well, because I mean, come on, you guys must have seen what the blokes like TJ.
Yes.
I know you're a big fan of TJ Haller.
Yep.
Look at what those blokes have been able to pull off for people taking photographs up on. No, I didn't mean to go there. No. Sorry, is that one common knowledge? The photo, the upskirt photo under the tank that was heard around the world.
The photo that was heard around the modelling world, yes.
Yes, the photo that was heard. That's why we call it the upskirt.
The wardrobe malfunction or something.
Yeah. So, what they've been able to do with really pumping up that group build, and they had a huge influx of Maschinen Krieger models to their show, the national show at IPMF.
Well, I lay the completely at the feet of the Triple P. I blame them for the price increase in Maschinen Krieger kits because
they just made it so popular.
They just made it so popular that trying to find one there for a decent price is just outrageous.
Inflation hits again.
Well, wait a minute. Have they gone up in price?
Well, from Australia, they're pretty expensive to get your hands on. Yeah,
sure.
I know my local hobby shop's got some, and I won't buy them from there.
Not at that
price. Way too expensive.
Yeah, but is it? I've got to name names and ask. Is that Hearns?
Yes.
Bloody hell!
Could be.
Hearns puts incredible markup on prices for them. It's almost like they hate Maschinen Krieger. They want to pretend they love it so much they hate it. And they the price they put on them is insane. But I understand they've got things to deal with. Shipping's not easy now, and Japan has had their first inflation bump since forever.
That must have freaked them out.
Yeah, they were in such a deflationary cycle for the longest time. So them actually having prices go up is quite a shock. I saw an NHK special about it, and I was like, "Wow!" So we're not the only ones suffering.
Yeah, a friend of mine over there, he said that his power bill went up by 40% or something.
40%?
Wow.
That's a hell of a jump.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gosh.
Come on, coal fires. Crank them up. Yeah. I'm not sure if I should touch on topics like that.
You're so politically incorrect, Linc.
I know.
It's refreshing.
Yeah.
Well, what I want to know is, so what have been your weathering opportunities and things for lunar combat?
Yeah, so I did what TJ told me to do. Can I leave it at that?
Well, to listen to his podcast.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding around. Because that was fascinating too. And just as an aside to clarify that, we are actually working. We're working reasonably separately because when I've tapped these artists to be involved, I want their version of truth. Their version of stuff, because I think that's what will make it real and allow it to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So with the first one, this is important to put the contrast into it and explain the whys. So the first one, it's Max and myself. And it was also because, I didn't have the reach to really be able to talk to international artists and maybe get them excited. It wasn't quite the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one, it's still quite Japan focused, to be honest.
Yep.
Because, I mean, sure, I'm Aussie, but I did grow up as a Japanese foreigner. Excuse me. Wow, that's another word I can't say yet. See, one of the things after you've had a stroke, you got to reconnect with your vocabulary.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of it's a neural plasticity thing, I'm told. So sometimes I go to say words again, and I'm like, it just can't come out properly. And the dribble is just a nice side product. So, foreigner.
Side product of the stroke or of your hobby?
Yeah, no, so I had a couple of light strokes just due to undiagnosed hypertension. So
really?
Get your blood checks done, guys.
Yes.
It's your own bloody fault if they're not picking that up. It's because you're not showing it to them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Just as an aside. And I'm fine now. I've made a fantastic recovery. Like, thank goodness I had enough left in the tank to, enough neurons left for them to be rerouted so that I can still do useful crap.
Yes.
So,
which we're all grateful for.
But saying words like foreigner, because it's something that doesn't come up in everyday talk here, I guess.
Well, it doesn't, and actually, it leads me to ask a question. So, did if you don't mind me asking, did it affect your motor skills in regards to your model?
No, thank goodness. That's one of the first things I was able to test out, because actually one of the models that's in the book, I had to finish it, the camel, and it's actually one of the more difficult ones. So you could imagine that one was, with much trepidation, I sat down at the bench to work again, to do modeling.
Mm-hmm.
I was, if I can just say it, I was shit scared that I had lost any, I'd lost skill that I worked so hard to produce over my life. But thank goodness the hands were still on autopilot. I've subsequently moved on. I remember Ian and Julian were laughing about it. Remember that? So we get to go German heavy. Grosshund. It's one of those big dog.
The Groberhund.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they pronounce it Grosser, I believe.
Oh, the Grosserhund. Yeah, Grosserhund.
Grosserhund.
Yeah.
God knows what. How are we going to ossify that? Groberhund, mate.
Groberhund.
Big black dog.
Big dog. That's why I thought, jokingly, I thought I should just call it Big Dog.
Yeah.
It's so self-explanatory. That dark yellow one I did it all hand brushed because I wanted to test it out, Dave.
Yeah.
I wanted to go through and make sure that there were no speed bumps in my hand brushing processes and so on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Thank goodness that was completely untouched. The only places I've noticed it was with speech and mobility.
Right.
Mobility's bounced back pretty well. Speech is actually the one that I feel it the most. It's like it's hard to describe, and I don't wish on anybody to try to experience it, but it's.
Is that why your jokes keep falling flat?
Yeah, I'd like to blame it on that. The joke neurons are not. I can't. I've not been able to go back and play the piano. I've not been any smarter. I didn't get up, didn't find out I was any better looking. No, none of that.
Can't do backflips anymore.
No, none of that. The failed backflips, I'm sure I could do them. But yeah, it was just, and that's where, and my wife kind of told me afterwards, she was the one who said that she'd spotted it. She said, and it's across both languages equally. In fact, I think my Japanese speaking is knocked around even more because I'm not reinforcing that much as much.
Yeah.
I'm speaking English a lot more now.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go back and try to speak with friends, that's going to be a bit of a comeuppance, isn't it? But you can recover from these things. You've got to do the work.
Yep.
You got to practice and so on.
Yep.
So and thank God with modeling, there was very little change with that. If anything, I feel like my sense of focus improved, and this is probably just me bullshitting myself. But be that as it may, I want to believe that my ability to focus and look at things objectively has improved. So let's believe that.
Sure.
Yeah. Bullshit me that it's true. So there's that. But thank God that was the first thing I kind of needed to test out, and getting back into it, jumping back on that horse. It was great to realize that I could still make stuff that looks reasonably good. Or people are bullshitting me more than they used to. I don't know which one is it. Gaslighting. It's a thing.
Well, you may find that you'll get even better from this point onwards, right? Like there are cases where like guitarists who had like hand injuries, they worked, they got even better, like much more skilled afterwards.
Because they worked harder.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, they became conscious and they were like, yeah.
That's a wonderfully positive way to look at this, Julian. I really appreciate you for saying that. That's how I felt. If just as an aside, I know I'm always joking around and saying stupid stuff because it's fun, but in reality, I was just so thankful that I didn't die.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Same with the rest of us.
Really. I was just so thankful that I'm still here and I can still make stupid stuff. That, so the ability, that's why, if anything, this book came together better than expected, because I feel even more motivated now to make cool stuff, to pass along what, these fantastically weird opportunities that I've been able to garner over my career.
Yep.
And working with these folks. Now being able to expand it and Yokohama saying, do that. Get all of these other folks involved, and that's what I tried to do. So this time, and it's not through any. I figured I'm probably representing like Japanese methodologies quite well enough, and there's a couple of finishes there, like my lunar diver and the camel. I put them together, ripping off, homaging. Both Max and Yokoyama-san with gunk. The lunar dive is a gunk wash sort of thing, like Max has done it quite a few times, and then the camel. The camel ended up being. It's one of the things that FAQ I ran out of time to be able to do. I really wanted to include a finish on freehand airbrushing. That's something that wasn't included in that FAQ book that I did.
Oh, right, yes.
And and so it's something that not always has presented itself as an opportunity, but the camel is perfect for it. It's huge.
Oh, yeah, it's a great, huge palette.
So it's almost like a Star Wars tank, isn't it? Because
exactly.
It's got the verticality. See, there's a new word.
Verticality.
Yes.
Verticality.
How big is it relative to the Falcon?
I think it might be even bigger. I mean, it's like. Sorry, I'm putting my hands up on a podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like but it's surprisingly big. If you're not used to, and I'm not used to working on kits that big. It's like, wow, it's big. But. Yeah, because it's got so much of a horizontal component as well as the vertical component. Hey, I can say vertical well. There we go.
It's got like a spherical, like a cockpit front at the, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Which,
and like how big is that thing? That
like
part of it?
It's a decent orange size. Would be about 8 centimeters across.
I like a tennis ball.
A tennis ball is pretty small.
Yeah, maybe it felt a little bit bigger than a tennis ball.
Like one of those snow globe type things.
Okay.
Geez, snow globes come in all different shapes and sizes.
That's true. You're right. I just thought the one that you see in movies, that they always holding their hand, they beat someone over the head with it when they're, I don't know. I just watched too many Christmas movies or something.
Exactly that one. Exactly that size. Beating over the head. With the sharp edge size. Yes. The one that make you drink afterwards on a dare. That one.
Yep.
Hey, Linc, with the outrageous success of your first book, and we're pretty sure the second one's going to be just as successful, is there any sort of, have you cast your mind to perhaps a third one, or you're just going to wait and see how things run?
The reason I've gone silent is I'm thinking, does talking about future stuff up the chances for your current stuff?
No, not at all.
Hey, I've got an idea for you.
Yeah, man.
Desert warfare.
Desert
warfare.
Desert warfare.
Desert warfare.
Yeah.
Then you can start going into like the old DAK colours and themes. Because I remember seeing some guys do. Oh, it was years ago. We did a what was that hover tank they did? Linc.
So there's a Nutcracker.
Yeah, the Nutcracker. Yeah, and I remember someone did one of those and actually converted the top of it to look like a German armoured car.
Oh yeah, I've seen
and did
that.
in a desert scheme, and it just blew my mind.
It's so good, isn't it?
Mm.
Now, I hope one of my friends, Grant Mayberry, is listening to this.
Grant's a really up and down guy. I like him.
He's a great guy.
Because I'm not saying that Grant is working on something like that for me. I'm not.
Ah, okay.
But so if as an inside peek, I've actually got the next couple planned out, and people are working on them now because I think we've developed a really good level of momentum.
Yeah.
Yep. And you've got a good community now too.
Yeah.
Really good community. There's really good modelers who are happy to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would be crazy not to.
Absolutely.
And again, saying after recovering from this little hiccup, it kind of it lit even more of a fire under me to get stuff done, Linc. You don't know how long you've got.
Well, that's
right. That's right.
Work hard while you can, because you just don't know what the future holds.
Make every moment count.
100%. And
so speaking about that Grosserhund, the big dog. So I've managed to get all 7 releases together, including and a shout out to. This will be the first time for me to showcase another Aussie's work. Ooh. So I think, right? Mm-hmm. Because it just happens that a local mate, I don't know if you guys know Gav Cross.
I don't know him personally, but I've
heard
know
of the name.
Gav Cross. Yes, he's quite a good builder.
Okay. And yes, exactly. Well put. He's a great builder. And Gav came. I showed my collection of Grosserhund. I've got the first 6 of the kits of the series together, and shared what I had said. This is my full stack, a full hand of Huns.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Hey, I've got this other one that you don't have built, and would you like to include it?" So I was like, "Mate, that's number 7, perfect." So the next one will be all 7 of the Grosserhund versions painted and explained differently. So, so it just feels, so it'll be harking back to the first one. It'll be more of the guide style rather than a...
Yes. Yeah.
For Lunar Combat, I wanted it to be an overview. So more of it goes a bit wider with the focus, and it's more about the people and styles rather than the specific kit.
Oh, yeah.
I get you. Yep.
Yeah. So it shows lots of difference. It's got 11 different kits in it. With, I haven't actually counted up. What have we got? 5 people, and I've tried to choose and invite people with very different looks and skills, because if we keep showing Machine and Krieger the same way, it's not empowering to other artists, other modelers. If I only show my silliness, people think they have to handbrush stuff, but it's like, no, of course you don't. So I tapped one of my mates who does really beautiful aircraft and Macross kits, Lim, and he's in the UK, and he does beautifully soft airbrush finishes. So I got him to do a lunar diver correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I say correctly, it's a joke, as opposed to mine. I'm doing a really harsh version, like what the version I saw Yoko Yamasan do on his original. But I thought it can also benefit from a beautiful airbrush look with, soft blends.
Yes,
so
yes.
that kind of look. Then we've got someone like TJ Haller, who I don't want to overbrush people too much, because TJ is quite artistic as well, especially for where he comes from. But generally speaking, I really like how our friends in the US tend to have a very technical engineering type look to their model making. If I could say it as a broad stroke, does that kind of sense?
They've got a very strong grounding in like armor building, right?
Yeah, armor building, I think, is perhaps where that's sort of stemming from. They've got
exactly. So somebody who comes from a very strong, especially smaller scale, a 135 armor type background is going to produce very technically masterful finishes. And it's very thematically correct for that. We talked about that Strahl Democratic Republic. Now, back in the 80s, when they were first penning the idea of this nation, they're almost a commonwealth of nations, the Strahl Democratic Republic. The gentleman writing the stories from them, he was quite a fan of the German forces during World War II.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got to look at it too. Back in 1983, they were way close to World War II than we are now. Compared to, we are further away now from 1983 when they were writing that stuff than they were from World War II back then. Did I say that correctly? Does that make sense?
No,
yeah,
it does make sense.
Yep.
But also having said that, a lot of the stuff that came up in the 80s has since been proven to be incorrect in regards to some colours and paints and stuff like that. There's been There's been a lot more in-depth sort of research and revision of the colours that were used, et cetera, for that time period.
Oh, so you mean the SF3D stuff is all wrong?
Why would you say that, Dave?
What are you going about, Dave?
They were totally using the wrong Dunkelgelb. Come now.
No. Well, I
do know. I follow these topics with much personal interest. I'm actually a really big fan of World War II stuff because there's just so much value there and so much fascinating stuff. So, and I also need to kind of keep abreast of it to be able to add to the Maschinenkrieger property. So to align with that, because you're saying exactly the right stuff. Since the 80s and then the subsequent time when they've kind of rebooted this, the Strahl Democratic Republic, can I just call it SDR? That's what we use.
Make it easy. Yep.
Strahl. They've progressed quite a bit in the law and making them, because they're a reluctant participant in the conflict who've been they've been given the fiefdom of the reimagined the Earth that's recovered, and they've been tasked with doing it, and it's an unpopular war that they have to participate in. So that's why they start getting involved with using more robotic forces, because they haven't got enough boots on the ground. They start making drones. They start making this various equipment that can augment their forces. I mean, who does that sound like in the modern realm?
Right. Yeah, Ukraine.
You see, and you see where I'm going with this, right?
Sure.
It's like, who's making this stuff? So it's not so much that they're bad guys. They're not doing bad stuff like, whoever we say is the bad guys now. You know where I'm going with that. So it's actually very thematically cool to have somebody like TJ, who's from an engineering technical sort of background, builder making vibe, to be making the Strahl stuff, because there are quite a few parallels with the US and the SDR. And again, it's not saying they're not bad guys. They happen to be one side of the conflict, and they're drawn like that. I hope I said that in a good way, because
all emails can be directed to Linc.
because you find yourself on the SDR side, and if they're not doing bad stuff, they just happen to be making these things. And with researching for the Grosserhund book, I can see that Yokoyama-san did develop them. There's a lot of similarities to the fighter jet development between the US and the Soviet Union and then Russia. Mm-hmm. And there's quite a few similarities with, say, the Grosser-Hund and the F-15 Eagle series, of which Yokoyama-san's a really big fan. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of preempting it a bit. That's why I thought getting some US modelers involved to have that kind of vibe. And TJ made the Lunagans, which is an automated AI-driven air defense unit based on the moon.
Right.
And I thought that would be pretty cool, and he's done a fantastic job. It's beautiful. Oh, and when he saw the mock-ups of it too, I showed him some photos of it. He told me 3 drops of pee came out. Yeah.
I wasn't expecting you to say that.
If I can make TJ happy like that, if he has a reaction to his work being in print like that, I know I've done it right. So I was really proud to share that. It's pretty cool. Yeah. There's more too. So sorry, I don't want to cut you guys off, but I've got a couple more themes that you might be interested in that help explain why this is different. Because the first one was just me and Max.
Yes,
it's good, it's deep, but it's somewhat limited. But this time I've got that US perspective, and I've got the UK perspective with the soft airbrush blends. Then I've got the designer of the book. I finally, it took much cajoling, but Alex, he's a fantastic modeler. Have you seen his stuff come up? He does all kinds of stuff. Oh, my family's just going out. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't spend too much money.
I think I may know. Yeah.
Yeah. So he goes by a couple of names. So on Insta, you know him as Maschinen Heimat, and he does quite a bit of Warhammer and World War II stuff as well.
Oh, I think it rings a bell. Yes.
Sure. And then on Facebook, he's just got his regular name is. And I'm sorry, Alex, I always say it wrong. What do you expect from an Anglophile? Even though I studied French, I can't say it properly. But his name's Alexandre Duchamp. And no matter how we try, we're going to be saying it wrong for the poor bloke. Oh, so sorry, mate. but he actually lives in London, so his English is now better than all of ours.
Yeah, well, his English is better than our French.
Yes, 100%. And Alex has been really taken with this concept of shibui. And this is what some of the guys who listen to the Triple P podcast were taking the mickey out of me for using. This weird Japanese sounding word. It's my weird moment, Julian. Shibui. It's a really popular thing in Japan, and some creatives have experienced it over the years and tried to take it back. I mentioned Frank Lloyd Wright, the architect.
Yes.
You've probably seen some of his stuff. They actually employed him to do one of the versions of their big hotels in the 80s there in Tokyo. I think it was, if I was good at telling stories, I remember which one it was. I visited it, and it was really well done. But he was quite enamored with this concept, and there's a number of ways to describe it, but it's more like a complicated form of simpleness. So it's a way of making complex, beautiful things simple. And we do that. Modeling requires that. Otherwise, we get lost, don't we?
Yep.
And there's quite a bit of this kind of talk in design philosophy as well, that they try to make things more human-friendly and usable by simplifying them. And then you've got artists like Picasso and say Leonardo da Vinci, who that's one of the quotes actually I used in the book for Alex's section, was that simplicity is one of the purest forms of beauty.
Yes.
And Alex has done this fantastic finish on one of the SDR kits, and he's a big fan of the SDR as well. And he's got this idea of making it a little bit like Japanese pottery, which some of their pottery stuff, it can look complex and it uses simple colors, but mixed in a way that is simple yet complex at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's difficult to completely get across in the spoken form. So
buy the book.
Buy the book. Buy the book to get the real thing. Yeah. But really, I've explained it in goodly words in the article in the book, and then supported it with the photographs to explain how shibui is a thing, and we can use that. And Machine Creek is one of these rare genre where it's not only acceptable, but it works really well, because Yokoyama-san's kind of built that into the look. Right. You'll notice some folks, when they first start making Machine Creek kits, they like to upgrade them with big honking guns and do various things to them, because they've not yet kind of got their eye in. Their time at the crease is still short. So you'll notice, I'm going to say this one, it's kind of, it might not make sense to everyone straight off, but I can't begin to explain how pleased I am with TJ Haller's progression this morning, because he's really doing well. And he mentioned that he's done a spacesuit now. He's put together a spacesuit. It's one of these new releases that we can all get now. It's on my blog. You can buy it. The Fireball Stopgap, that one we kind of babbled about at the beginning. Yep. He's put one of them together. And he wrote, I'm not going to texture this one. Now, I know it's simple, but there's a certain look for the space stuff that they don't always carry. The space stuff is usually done without texturing because of the various finishes for the, you could say it was law reasons, but it's just, that's how they're kind of done. So seeing that TJ has now, he's understood that. I've never mentioned it. I never said it. I said, dude, you're doing these wrong. You got to do them like this, because that would be wrong for me to tell artists to do that. I'm like, hey, if you want to texture them, you go right ahead. And he's done this himself. Yeah. So it's great.
And what I would find exciting, perhaps in one of your next books, is that if you were to reach out and find maybe a Warhammer artist or something like that, to then throw them a kit and see how they put their spin on it, that would be particularly interesting as well.
Yeah, it would. I've not been successful with that. If to share it, because I also see it. I mean, I come from that background too, but it's difficult because my friends who are really good at Warhammer, they love Warhammer.
Yeah.
You see where I'm.
It's Warhammer or nothing.
Do you see how I answered that? That's Shibui. That's Shibui. That was Frank Lloyd Wright right there. So that one has been not successful for me.
Maybe I'll have to have a look around and cast my eyes around and see who I can find locally, because I think it would be
it's a weird thing,
really
isn't it?
Interesting to see what their
people dabble in
take on it is.
Modelers from our side dabble in Warhammer, but they don't really come back the other way.
I think maybe they do and they don't. Interesting question.
So I've got for close future ideas for collaboration, I've got aircraft folks coming in, tank folks, armor folks coming in, and I'll gradually start trying to do that, but I can't go too hard with it as well. That's another thing that's kind of I've been given this wonderful freedom to expand the look, but I also, I've also got a responsibility to not go too far with it as well. And you got to be a bit careful, because Warhammer, I mean, I try to get those looks in the grimdark aspects of things. I mean, I'm really trying to get it in, but I can't go too far with it, because it's not that.
Well, I know what you mean. Like, because a lot of the like anything, there are different sort of levels of sort of how serious you are about whatever you're into, right? And by the time you get to near the top of the Warhammer community, things are all about bright, punchy colours, and they almost look cartoonish in a way.
Yeah.
And I don't think that really meshes with the realism of.
No, it doesn't. But it would be interesting to see. Well, then, yeah. I mean, I guess in fact, well, how about give a Warhammer, guy who's never done it before a Sherman tank to build and see what he comes back with that.
Yeah.
The same sort of thing. I'd just be really curious to see how, because they look at a model and the finish of it in a completely different way than what we do, and it'd just be really intriguing to see how they approach that side of it from and what it'd spin out. I reckon it'd be really cool. Anyway, so Linc, where can people find this mythical new book?
Paintonplastic.com.
Paintonplastic.com. And if people actually want to reach out to you and follow you through your YouTube channel and such, or your blog, again, how do they reach out and get to you?
Please don't reach out to me. Actually, one of the hardest things, the toughest things about the health bump was the kind people directly reaching out to me. Yes. It was exhausting when you're in hospital and you're recovering. So, who's going by? Yeah, the replying to these fantastic, lovely people who were asking, hey, Linc, are you okay? And I'm like, no. The messages are killing me.
Leave me alone. Let me recover.
So for all your stuff, paintonplastic.com is the best place to
Plastic. I've tried to yes. Paint on Plastic is the hub that I put everything on there. It's got a blog section where I update things. Yep. I put my videos there. But also I've tried to make it so that the Paint on Plastic brand name, it works across all of the platforms. So if you go to Instagram, YouTube, all of them, they work with Paint on Plastic. Yep. So you can see the various things that I try to put out there. But it's tough, isn't it? Making things across various platforms.
Definitely.
It is indeed.
So, and I do also a newsletter that you can sign up for on paintonplastic.com.
Yes.
I try to put the new kit releases, various news that people might like to see. I just throw that out as a free service and try to keep people in the loop because, the kits are sometimes a little bit difficult to get if you don't know where.
Yeah.
And I think one of the easiest ways to get them is via pre-order and try to bundle them up and get a couple together and save on your shipping and so on.
Yes.
So I try to keep all that together. For folks there.
There you go, folks. If you want to find out more about Linc and what he's doing, and paintonplastic.com. Linc, it's been awesome having you on the show. We're so pleased that you're still with us, and in fact on the improve, or not sitting on the cloud with a harp. And we can't wait to see what your next adventure is going to be. And don't forget to drop by and let us know what that's going to be and when it's going to happen.
Sure thing, will do. And I don't think I get to go on a harp. I'm going to burn with you guys. We're all going to burn.
We're all going down.
It's nice and toasty.
No, a super pleasure. And I'm sorry if I got off on some weird tangents with it, but thank you very much for the opportunity to try to explain my work and, get the message out there. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No worries at all, buddy.
Mate. Cheers. We'll catch you again soon.
Whether you build aircraft, armour, ships, science fiction, cars or figures, the Fine Scale Modeller magazine provides the how-to information you need to take your modelling to the next level. In each issue of Fine Scale Modeller, you'll find clear how-to features on model assembly and finishing written by experts, reviews of the hottest model kits and products, tips and techniques for assembling, painting and finishing, as well as inspiring photos of readers' models. To find out how you can get your copy of Fine Scale Modeller, go to www.finescale.com.
Well, that's been a jam-packed show. Two fantastic interviews. It's great to catch up with Scott, and I'm still got my jaw dropped over the fact that taxidermists,
the people who do taxidermy,
are going to be using SMS paints to finish off their...
And such a great idea of having wildlife colours.
Yeah.
Like, people who do dioramas are just going to be blown off their brains.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's great. Definitely.
And it was interesting that, that the lacquers apply better to the fur than any other paints. I thought there was
probably because of the oils, natural oils in the fur.
I don't know. Do they wash the furs before they do taxidermy?
I wouldn't know.
I know it's big over in the US, especially
around the hunting areas.
Well, yeah, that as well. But it's it's almost like a hobby over there as well. So,
well, it's a business too.
Well, yes.
Chuck Tester.
Yeah.
It's like a famous internet meme thing where there's this guy and he's done like a local TV station ad for his business that does taxidermy, and it involves him popping out from behind trees going, "Nope, Chuck Tester."
Oh, geez, that's funny. And of course, it was great to catch up with Linc as well.
Yeah,
geez, he had a close call, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, so glad he's up and about and improved.
Yeah, he hasn't changed a bit though.
No,
hasn't affected
he's
him.
still Linc.
Yeah,
still a great Linc.
Oh dear.
Yep.
All right, well, let's bring this home. It's been a particularly long episode.
Yep.
Our next episode, next fortnight, is going to be episode 172, and to celebrate that, we've got Kentucky Dave coming on the show.
Oh, cool.
We're talking about semi-second scale, being 172nd show. And we've also got Tim Holland, otherwise known as El Presidente, coming onto the show as well, because he's another prolific 72nd scale builder as well. So we're going to have a great old time talking about God's own scale next show. So it's going to be fantastic. So don't forget to tune in. Of course, there's a whole heap of other fantastic podcasts out there for you to listen to. Just go to podcast.com, which is run by our good
Scale
mate.
Model Podcast, you mean?
Yeah, Scale Model Podcast. It was run by our good mate Scott, and he actually details all the different podcasts that are available for your listening pleasure. So don't forget to check them all out. And if you don't already, please leave a rating in whatever podcast app you're listening to. It just helps with the algorithms to not only lift our podcast, but all the other modelling podcasts out there up as well. So it's terrific. Ian.
That's it for me. Happy modelling.
No worries, Julian.
Yeah, bye.
All right. Okay.
I don't know. What do you want me to say? Go out and buy more aftermarket or something like I've been doing?
Buy more tools.
Bankrupt yourself.
See you later, guys. See you in a fortnight.